What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I am your host for tonight's festivities here on Leap Day. Happy Leap Day, everybody. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is Pop Culture Philosophers, and you are watching the monthly comic book review. That's right, the award-winning show where we gather at the end of every single month and talk about our favorite comic books of that month. Tonight, the discussion is our favorite comic books of February 2024 and the last week of January, technically, if you want to get super into it. But speaking of super into it, Superman, a lot of Superman news today. We got to look at the S-Shield from the James Gunn upcoming movie and the new title announcement, which is Stu at Doctor's Fan Club. Dr. Doom's Fan Club, how amazing is it that James Gunn has decided to name his next Superman movie after you, Super Stu?
It's an honor, dude. It's an honor, but appropriate, of course, for the legend in the making. So, yeah. So grateful to be here tonight, dude. Thanks for having me.
I'm grateful to be here as well. Now, we are anticipating some more DCU news coming up throughout the rest of the year, including a name change on Batman Brave and the Bold. It will now be Batman Brave and the Nick. Nick from Comic Culture. What is up, my man?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
What up, brother?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Great.
Let's get into this, man.
Before that that Stu movie comes out, we have an animated series that was going to be called Creature Commandos, but in fact, it's actually going to be Carrie Commandos. What's up, Carrie? How you doing?
Nice.
What? That's awesome. Hi, guys. Creature Commandos. Can I be what would I want to be? If I was a creature, that would be cool. Maybe something like
you're Commandos, Carrie. You're the leader.
Oh.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Speaking of leader,
Commandos,
this man's definitely on leader class. And even though it hasn't been officially announced, we know that James Mangold is doing a Swamp Thing movie, possibly. And so here is the Manny Thing. You like that?
I like that. I thought you were going to go Swamp Manny, but Manny Thing works.
My initial idea was just to go Swamp Thing, like you're a Swamp Thing. Then I realized, Manny Thing, Man Thing. There we go. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's welcome everybody to the show. Greg, Bearded Comic Bro, will be joining us, but he's in line at Fazoli's or some shit right now. So,
hey, that's really funny. I ate Fazoli's earlier.
Robbie's
well,
on
there
it.
you go. Yeah, no kidding. We're on it tonight. All right, we're going to be talking about our favorite comic books of February and maybe the last week of January. I actually looked at that last week. I was like, I don't know. Duke #2 did come out. So anyway. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about them, maybe some slight spoilage here and there, but if we're going to spoil something, we'll let you know. But for the most part, we're not going to spoil anything that's going to spoil anything for you to be spoiled. All right, joining us, of course, is Stu for the second time here on the monthly review, right? This is your second show, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, we'll let you kick it off. What is your favorite comic book of February? What's your pick of the month?
All right, I got to go Rare Flavors #4, man. This was, I thought, a profound book, like in and out. We kind of get our demon's backstory, Bakasura, and he kind of tells it through this as he cooks this dish, and he kind of compares himself to the dish. The artwork by Felipe Andrade is incredible. We get all these gorgeous reds, the desert oranges. It feels like a meal in itself, like different color spices, different ingredients. This book has been incredible. Some issues have not hit as hard as this one did, but this one just taking you through his kind of origin story, his back getting broken and kind of stumbling from one civilization and society to the next and preying on people, and really kind of learning who this guy was and how far his horror and his evaluation of humanity has come. I thought it was great. And there was Rambi's writing in here is just downright profound on so many of these panels and pieces of narration. So this one was like, there were so many great books. I feel like we were talking in the back chat. I have a real good solid top 5, but this was the one that really stood above the rest to me.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my list, it's probably the one that I was going to go with for my pick of the month. So I'm glad that you bring it up. I've loved every single issue, and this one in particular, once again, a recipe somehow tied in thematically to the story, giving us backstory, and then there's a little bit of disjointedness in the narrative, right? That's been confusing to some people, where they're like showing you a little bit from the future, and in this issue, you start seeing how it all kind of starts clicking together. And Felipe Andrade, holy cow, one of the absolute best artists out there. I had a comment on my weekly review this week that said, way too many Rom V books are your pick of the weeks. It's starting to become suspect. I mean, I get it, but like you got to differentiate. And I'm like, but it's Rom V.
What if
good art is good art.
What if the truth is that Ron V is one of the best writers writing comics right now?
I mean, that could very well be the truth, but I understand how it looks. You know, I've had him on my show, and you know, like everybody else. So like, I don't know. It's always funny when I get that kind of stuff. It was probably Nick's one of his burner accounts. So
Yeah,
Nick, what do you think about Rare Flavors?
It was definitely a burner. I thought it was great, man. For all the same reasons, you know, y'all just talked about. What I like too is the color. The coloring in this book is outstanding. If you notice in the very beginning, it looks like it's a sunrise. And then as the book is going on, you can see the passage of time because it takes a while to have that, you know, to have that recipe brewing, right? To burn that bottom, right? To have those flavors pull out. And then it gets a little bit darker throughout the day. And at the very end, there's this beautiful sunset and they're riding out into it. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's just such a great book. It's such a great book. I'm wondering how it will read in a collected format, sitting down, reading the entire thing. Like, do you think it would get choppy? Do you think you'd enjoy? I'm really enjoying it single issues in the single issue format.
I am as well. Yeah.
I don't know if I'll love it in a hardcover, sit down for like an hour and read the entire thing, but I'm having a hell of a time reading it right now. Beautiful writing, beautiful art, beautiful coloring, great book.
Yeah, I actually think it will read very well because Mini Desolé Lestar I really enjoyed episodically, but I really also just enjoy sitting down and reading that, you know? Yeah. What about you, Carrie? What do you think about Rare Flavors?
I very much love Rare Flavors, and I love Ron V's writing, and I think he gets picked a lot by me as well. But what I will say is it's kind of interesting how he's explaining how he got into the position he's in, and we finally find out officially who Manzi is, and how it kind of surprised me who that person is. Were you guys surprised by that at all?
I'm trying to think back.
Which one specifically?
The little girl.
I think the entire plot was surprising because I feel like you kind of go into this feeling like Ruben is more sinister than what he is, right? So
He's
when you
actually
get
not.
the backstory, he's
searching
for humanity, searching for kindness.
And it's really interesting how when you talk about like, and you have because Rare Flavors always has the recipe within the story, right? For those of you that aren't familiar with it yet. But it kind of like to tell his story and how the story always like juxtapositions with the recipe and what the recipe, like not necessarily the ingredients, but like the steps. Yeah. Like he had to get like literally like just down and out and literally just be almost ruined and then come back. And it's like a lot of people look at the idea of almost burning something as ruining it. And it's just it's very interesting how not just this issue, but in past issues where that interacts.
Yeah, the destruction is the beauty type of thing, like a necessary force.
Yeah, I love this. This issue in particular was so well done and well crafted because it's illuminating an idea that I love in Rom's work, where this being I love the distinction too. I'm not a cannibal, not technically, right? But this dude, like any other writer, any other lesser creator, could easily just be like, this dude's bad. That's the way. That's the name of the game. But it's more about. There's more nuance than that. It's about that struggle. It's about trying to be something that you're not. And the way to evolve ourselves, to elevate ourselves, is to find answers amongst ourselves, amongst other people and culture and stuff like that. What about you, Manny? What do you think?
I loved it. I loved it. It was so good that I was late to work trying to make a review of the book this morning because I needed to talk about it. And for some reason, electricians that I work with, we don't talk comic books so much. The story itself is fantastic. The way Rom frames each one of these stories around the recipe and the idea of this staple of a culture like lentils having to be boiled, having to go through that crucible, being mashed, going through hell. And it's going through hell, getting to that bottom of that earthenware pot where all of the burned, stuck on, and disregarded stuff is. That's where all the flavor comes from. That's where we find the spices of life. That's what makes the next generation worthwhile.
Beauty and destruction.
Absolutely. And there's a necessity to that burnt bottom of that pot. Ruben talks about how it's so interesting that he still uses earthenware. Like, he's adhering to what is the norm, even though the world might be moving on from that. He's found the cultural significance and knows that it's looking into the past, looking into our history, and looking forward as a people and as a person moving forward. That makes it worth eating, that makes it different, that makes it worthwhile. I absolutely love the messaging of this book. My objective as a reader, I always say, is to find themes, motifs, things that make me feel. I plot and character. Anyone can do that. What Rom does as a writer who writes with such a grasp of poetic prose that captivates you. He doesn't get overly verbose. He's not Tom King pounding you over the head with words. He's not Scott Snyder pounding you over the head with character and plot devices. What he's pounding you over the head with is beauty, and that beauty captivates you in such a way. That's why Rom V gets brought up here. There's a lot of good writers. There are even writers who might be more prolific and better than Rom V at telling story. But there are not a lot of writers that can express the human experience in 28 pages the way Rom V does. I was thinking about this before the show. I don't talk about Scott Snyder much. I don't talk about a lot of these guys that much. They're great writers. I expect great writers to write well. I expect Cullen Bunn to write well. Rom V, Dan Waters, Prince, they write in ways that speak to you. And that's why Rom gets brought up on this show.
Did you just compare Rom V to Prince?
Not the W. Maxwell Prince. I screw up their names all the time. I'm like W. Maxwell.
I thought you meant like Prince as in the Purple Prince, like Purple Rain.
He makes me feel too. He makes me feel too. And as a boy from Minnesota, that is fulfilling my contractual obligation to that.
Yeah. I think the analogy works either way.
Absolutely.
All right, so
I just want to make sure I was clear on that one. I mean, like,
you tell me that the first book we bring up here in the best comics of the month is a Rom V book. That's sus, everybody. Speaking of suspect, Nick, what about you? Pick of the week. What do you got?
Pick of the month. Pick of the month.
Pick of the weeks. You didn't hear the S.
Yep.
Pick of the weeks. As Stu mentioned, there's like 6 books here that could probably be one of the contenders. I'm sure we're going to get the majority of these, but this book right here, it made the hair stand up on my arm when I was reading it, and especially towards the end of this book. And we're only 3 issues into this thing. We're talking about Avengers Twilight, issue number 3 from Chip Zdarsky.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have Daniel Acuna on here as well, because this book is absolutely beautiful, both on the story side and on the art and coloring itself. I think this is my introduction to Acuna's work, and it's beautiful, man. I cannot get over the scenery inside of here, but it's just a cool story of, like, it's set in the future. This is like a grizzled hero community. Some of them are fallen, some of them are disabled, some of them have moved on. In the previous issue, we had a really cool conversation between Captain America and Kamala Khan, and she's like has kids, and she's grown up, and she's kind of like left the superhero thing, and there's other powers that have risen up, and like they're kind of oppressing everybody right now in a way. And so it's really interesting to see all those old grizzled heroes kind of step back up, put their powers back together and just try to do what they have always known to be the right thing to do. And it's just handled beautifully, man. There's so many moments in here where it takes its time, it breathes. Chip Zdarsky's really good at doing those kinds of things. It's not just in your face action the entire time, but it's still very engaging and entertaining. And the artwork is incredible. And I feel like, especially the scenes where we're at the raft and we have this scenario where like all these guards and Tony's like grandson or something like that, son or whoever it is, he's like rising to power, like abusing the technology that he's inherited essentially. And there's just so many cool character moments where people are stepping up. We have some really great people coming into the story towards the end of this book, and it just made my hair stand straight up, man. It was just such a good time. So this is definitely one of the best books out there, in my opinion.
Yeah, issue number 1 and 2, they were solid, but issue number 3 is where we needed to step it up. We needed to push the momentum forward. We needed to really kind of make a statement, and they did. The whole confrontation between Cap and his new Avengers, right? And or the beginning of the new Avengers and Tony's son. Wow. Wasn't expecting to get that. In fact, wasn't expecting that from Chip Zdarsky at all, right? And this comic keeps getting touted as being like the Dark Knight Returns for Captain America.
Yes.
And as I stated with the Wonder Woman stuff when that first started, that's don't say shit like that, right? Don't say shit like that.
But what if it's true?
But
well, we got to read it first to find out.
I don't know about that one.
That's for time to tell.
Right. That's not for the
okay,
writers.
sure, but what if it's true? Okay, like seriously.
But great, we all
okay.
win.
But Dark Knight Returns to me was a seminal moment.
All right, let's believe the marketing department, the puny ass marketing department at Marvel and DC over. I mean, I'm just saying, like Dark Knight Returns.
No, fuck the marketing department. Fuck the marketing department.
No, I'm just talking for me. Dark Knight Returns.
All right, I'm trying to say nice things about this book, Carrie. And now you getting me all like, you know what? Fuck this book.
I know, but I'm like,
we're not talking about Wonder Woman yet. We're waiting.
The last book I read before I got in here was this book, and it rocketed to my number 2 position. Okay?
I love the book. I think it's amazing. Yeah, I think it's amazing. What I'm saying is it's an unfair comparison because it's not doing anything with the medium, like technically speaking, but what it is doing, which is something that's very difficult, or not difficult, but very rare at Marvel in the last few years, which is make a really good comic, and it's kind of coinciding with some other exciting things that are happening in the industry at large and at Marvel in specific. I think Avengers Twilight fucking rocks because it's not trying to be the Dark Knight Returns of the Avengers. It's just trying to tell us a really cool story with really great artwork that's been done before, but not quite in this way. I thought this issue was great. It was time to really deliver a hit, and they did it with issue number 3. Carrie, any brief thoughts on Avengers Twilight?
The fact of the matter is what really gets us in these kind of stories, what happens in stories like Dark Knight Returns and Avengers Twilight, is you have these people that have moved on with their lives. And then all of a sudden something comes up and there's that fierce urgency of now. Now I have to act. I never thought I was going to have to act again, but now because of all the shit that's going down, I have to act. And that's a fucking hero. Okay? That's a hero. And that moment where he becomes whole again, like if you weren't like sitting there like a little verklempt over that, like, because we have not seen that in 2 issues before, did not see that thing that made him whole. And you're sitting there like, where is it? And then all of a sudden, motherfucker, it's there. Okay. And it's just, I did not expect to like this book as much as I have. I wasn't even going to read this fucking thing.
And those moments, they hit over and over. And it's not just like one moment in the book that makes you super excited. This issue has 3 or 4 of those moments at least.
That one moment,
holy shit, he did it. I can't believe he did it.
The moment where he's whole, the moment where the first
surprise, and then the second surprise,
and then the second surprise right at that end, that last
oh yeah, it's got me hyped.
And everybody's always just trying to say, character first, and the character of Captain America is fantastic. So true to the original vision of Kirby and Simon. So true to the work that's been done by like Mark Grunwald or Mark Waid or other Marks that have had runs on Captain America. And it's insane because Captain America's just not spending all issue giving a giant speech, which is usually how Captain America books go nowadays. So it's really refreshing.
No time for speeches, man.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of no time for speeches, what about you, Nerdtastic News? It's Manny, Avengers Twilight.
Avengers Twilight. I like it. The Dark Knight Returns by way of Old Man Logan meets Civil War, right? I mean, that's the plot wise. It's been there, done that. What I do love is that Chip Zdarsky respects legacy and history of characters. We saw this in. We've seen this in other books he's written. I'm going to draw a blank, and I'm not. But Robbie will think of it, I'm sure. Other Chip Zdarsky books where he's really done a good job of respecting legacy. I think what gets this book for me,
Sex criminals.
Yeah, there we go. Sex criminals. No, not
Public
sex.
domain.
But regardless, guys. I think it's Kaptara, to be honest with you. But the truth here is that this book one hooks you with artwork, which is phenomenal. You get hooked in by the artwork. The plot is the plot. Been there, done that. Grizzled old hero comes back to save the day. What gets me for this book, what makes me continue to read this book, is the serendipity of being somebody who is currently reading, Immanuel Kant philosophy and seeing the idea of the imperative for moral duty represented in Tony's or in Captain America. The idea that this moral imperative is moving him to action, and it's just that serendipity that, I'm studying this and this is what's happening. But I also really enjoy the idea that we're seeing utilitarianism from two different sides of the coin, because both Tony Stark's kid and Steve Rogers are doing what they believe is the best thing to help the most people, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Steve Rogers, his moral duty is because of it makes him feel like he's doing the right thing. So it's still utilitarianism. It's just the other side of the coin. Which one of them is right or wrong is a matter of debate. Because Steve Rogers is the protagonist, we are inclined to take his side. But is what Iron Man and the Iron Cops and everything else that's going on in that world, is that truly wrong if it's doing it for the greater good? I think that there's a really cool ethical dilemma there that Chip Zdarsky is mining, and I enjoy it. So it's a really good book.
Yeah, very well put. In fact, even more impressive that you did that completely still without moving at all.
Dude, I drank like 3 Monsters right before this show. I am wired. My camera cannot keep up right now.
Hey guys, we just got breaking news. Another name change for the upcoming DC movies. It will no longer be Booster Gold. It will be Booster Greg. What is up, Bearded Comic Bro?
What is up? What's up, friends? Thanks.
What up, man?
Did you remember my milkshake, Greg?
Did you text that? I completely I did not see it.
Oh.
No, I didn't.
Greg, you got any thoughts on Avengers Twilight #3?
I don't know if it's been brought up yet, but I think some might say this is like the new Dark Knight Returns.
What makes you say that? I don't know.
Some people might say like 3 issues isn't enough time to do that, but this has been fantastic. I came in late to it because I didn't know I wanted to read an Avengers Twilight book, but the selling point for me is Daniel Acuna's art. I know Nick already raved about it, but I'm going to rave again because it deserves it. It works. It makes the book so much better because I think if you had a different artist on it, it would have such a different feel to it that this really just makes it just sing. So I'm in, but I'm not going to add too much more than what you all have said. So
hell yeah.
I've been listening in the car.
Wow, a Marvel book brought up right after Rom V. That's a little suspect, y'all. I'm just saying, it's like, who's paying who around here, man? We got to get this straight. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't all shield for different things. We all got to shield for the same thing. We all got to take it in one direction.
So am I stuck having to cover Negaduck? Is that what you're telling me? Or damn it.
Got to make sure
I would have gone with Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, we're not talking Negaduck now? Oh,
be careful how you pronounce that. All right. Nick, I had a really good segue and then it got derailed. So fuck, that was yours. Never mind. You already did it.
What do you want
that was
from
your pick. Man, what is this show? What are we doing here? What
are we doing ever?
Let's be honest. Let's scrap the whole conversation. Who wants to talk about UFOs? Let's just do that. Like I'm down.
Let's do it. They're not called that anymore, right? What are they called?
Oh yeah,
They're called Whatever. We're bringing it back.
AUP?
UAP.
UAP, that's right.
Oh, that's
unidentified aerial phenomena.
That's stupid.
Right.
We'll go
That's
back.
bullshit. Speaking of bullshit, Carrie, why don't you let us know what's your pick of the month?
I think people know this is coming. And do we know this is coming? We know this is coming.
What?
Wonder Woman.
Oh,
Number 6. Yeah. Manny said something earlier about Rare Flavors, about something getting him on an emotional level. And this is what continuously this book has been doing for me. There's a moment in the book where the narrator is talking about the oldest story and then the second oldest story, and how, one of the stories is gods clashing, and it's in the middle of this fight between Grail and Wonder Woman. And he says that the other oldest story is women telling their daughters about how they can pick themselves up when someone knocks them down. And to me, that's really important story to tell. Especially, we have a very vocal minority that treats a lot of women in the industry like they're garbage. And it surprises me again and again and again. This is written by a dude. Like, I'm just completely always surprised that this is written by a guy. And yeah, just it floors me every time.
Hell yeah. I'll tell you this. I know some of our earlier conversations at the beginning of this run where it got a little contentious around here at times, just different, all in good fun. But I'm coming around on Tom King's Wonder Woman for some reason.
Yeah.
And I really liked this issue. Whatever the issue was where she goes and visits the kid, right? Was that like 3 or 4? Maybe that was
3
4
or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
From there, it really, and then I think 4 maybe was a step down. Then 5 is where they basically put together the Wonder Woman Revenge Squad. They go right into the action here. It's a big action-packed issue. The action is big. Daniel Sampere does this amazing job of making you feel the weight of everything, like the Washington Monument when it gets slammed on Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
And when she comes up from that, that's a powerful scene.
That
That
just
is awesome.
floored me.
It's
floored me.
really good. I mean, some might even say this is the Marvel superhero Secret Wars of Wonder Woman. Now, I don't think we're quite there yet. I think time has to pass a little bit, but I'm honestly really digging this Wonder Woman book 100%. What about you, Greg? What are you thinking?
Tom King's going to be really surprised to hear you say that, Robbie.
Fuck Tom King. He's a douchebag.
Well, I got a lot to say after that comment, but we'll stick with the book here for right now. This just flows really well for an issue that is nothing but action. Like graphically, there's so much weight to the story that's being told here, and Carrie alluded to a lot of those moments, but it is just visually stunning. Again, the books we've talked about so far for me have all been like the writing has been great, the storytelling's been great, but Akuna's art, Sampari's art, how do you say his last name? I've always butchered it.
I say Pierre, but
Sampere?
Yeah. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
Your art is fantastic. However, I butcher your name. It's been great, and then you guys, I know you talked about Rare Flavors with Andrade's art. It fits so much well, because I think and this is where the beautiful thing about comics are, where art works for one. I do think if you put in Akuna's art on this book, it won't mesh as well, because you need to have these, very more distinct, realistic looking characters for the storytelling in here. And I think it was just really well done. And I'm excited to hear that Robbie is starting to see the light of the beauty of this book. So
it didn't just happen. I mean, if you watch this show, and I'm on every single one of these shows, if you watch it, you see it. And I think my reasons for not liking 1 and 2 are very valid. Very, very valid. But It's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, your opinion is your opinion, sir. It doesn't mean that
Well, it doesn't hurt that I met him at MegaCon and he slipped me a check for $1,000. So once that happened,
Well,
then-
I have noticed your tone has shifted ever since MegaCon. Like, a little bit more of a fan here.
I have thoughts on what you told all of us that happened, and I know that like the thing is we get it like we got it like I think right after it happened in the chat, didn't we?
yeah,
so.
it was that night.
Yeah.
It was that night. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like I'm like sitting there and I'm all like ha ha in the chat, but then I thought about it later and I'm just like, man, Robbie, I'm just guessing had to feel very awkward in that situation.
No, Tom King felt very awkward. Trust me, he's a very awkward person. I mean,
Okay.
100%. He's weird. I had no problem going up and saying what's up. I'm the one who's like, let's get a picture together. I'm, come on, man. I got a bottle of tequila in my bag. We're we're good to go. We're good to go.
Robbie's ready to rock and roll.
Hell yeah, man. MegaCon they don't call it MegaCon for nothing. We go mega. We go big in MegaCon. That's why I hang out with dudes like twice my size. Speaking of dudes twice my size, Stu is twice my size in head width, but I don't know where I'm going with this. I was going to try to make it seem like you were super wide, but very short. Yeah. Anyway, you know what they say about big heads, Stu? What do you think about Wonder Woman? You reading it?
Yeah, I am. I'm not all the way caught up. I think I'm still on 4 or 5, but I've loved it so far. I echo what you guys said about Samperi's art. I think the guy's very prolific. He like we saw with what was the event he did? Dark Crisis. Like he can put it together quickly, and he can do a really quality job just from the outset.
Dark Crisis was Josh Williamson. Are you talking about Heroes in Crisis?
No, I'm doing Daniel Samperi did the art on that though, right?
He did Dark Crisis. The main
shit!
title.
I thought you were talking about Tom King, man. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I was talking about the artist.
Yeah.
No, you're good. But yeah, so I've loved it from the start. And I think Tom King is really good when he's writing women. I love Barda and Mr. Miracle. I thought Supergirl was great. And I think this has been a solid run so far. So yeah, I just got to catch up. I'm not all the way there, but I've loved the action as well. I think it's been spectacular.
Well, you'll really like this issue then. What about you, Nick? You got any thoughts?
Oh, the action in this was insane. It was so good. Like that surprise opening scene when you just see the hands coming out of the ground right behind her, and just the creative use of like the scenery. Like we said, Washington Monument. There were some really great moments in that book. It was really fun, and we can't throw away the backstory either. Backstory. I've been saying it month after month, man. I love that backstory too. Just these completely like incapable people trying to take care of this little girl, and they're the most capable people ever, right? It's like Damian and John Kent. It's like who they should be able to handle the situation, but like the idea of taking care of a child is so foreign to them, and they don't understand that dynamic. And it's extremely charming. And like at the end of the issue, they all go to freaking space and jump around the moon. It's like, how the hell did you get there? It was so funny, and I love the interaction between those three. As well.
The part where Damian's like, Darkseid is here to just, attack everyone with math or something like that. And then she's like, she comes in and she's like, Darkseid's in my closet. He has math.
Yeah, right. And then he paints himself as the hero, and he easily solves all the issues too. It's like, yeah, but I took care of them. Everybody else got their asses kicked. It's a really, really charming book too. Yeah, it was good issue.
Catching on what Damian's saying, and Damian went and saw the same Tom King panel I did. He wasn't there, I don't think, when I met Tom King either time. But, Tom King does come across as someone who's kind of is a little bit insecure, and he kind of bolsters that with like his personality. He it almost feels like he's putting up some kind of false front around you or whatever. But like Damian says, he thinks that's like that pushes him to drive himself, right? Like it drives him to push himself, right? And one of the things that I really did like about Tom King was when he was talking about the importance of not just each single issue, but each single page and each single panel and all this kind of stuff. And it was great. And then he painted it as if he was the only one thinking about comics that way. And then that's when you go, but anyway, pretty cool.
Well, I definitely understand the whole, being insecure as a writer thing. Like, all the time. I mean, I don't know a lot of people that can get through being a creative person, whether it's an artist or a writer, without feeling some sort of like, even if they really are objectively good going without having some imposter syndrome, and then just being completely awkward about it.
I'll name one person that I know who is so filled with confidence, it cracks me up and just like amuses me so much, is Rom V. Like the chats I
Really?
have with Ron V, when he tells me how he talks to his editors, it cracks me the fuck up. Like I'm just like, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Take a shot. We brought up Ron B again.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
That's a
Salute.
little interesting. Manny, you got any thoughts on Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Commit to the bit.
I haven't read it, but I want to.
Oh,
But I have not read it yet.
All right. There you go. There you go. How can Robbie besmirch Tom King yet laud Rob Liefeld?
It's a name. It's the same name. You got to love him.
Yeah,
Well,
us
you
Robs
gotta-
stick together. That's
You
what
gotta also look at it this way. So like I don't know about figure drawing, but like the time period that I think a lot of people my age and Robbie's age were finding comics, they were finding it during that height, that beginning of that Image age. And that's why all the kids love it. And if you there is a 2-video set on Cartoonist Kayfabe. It was actually just, I think, a couple of weeks ago, where they were kind of just doing like a little play act of an interview that Rob Liefeld did. And I personally
great video. That's a great
have it's a 2-part series, and it is worth it, because I gotta tell you, I got a little bit more respect for Rob Liefeld watching those 2 videos. Like, and anyone that knows me can tell you, Carrie does not like Rob Liefeld. But I watched it because I was like curious. I'm like, what is this guy going to say back then? You know? And I was like, actually, like, what the heck? But they talk about in that video how, you know, older fans back then didn't like Rob Liefeld. And it was all about the kids loving Rob Liefeld.
Yep.
And so that back then, you know, we were all kids.
Once again, this is why Rob Liefeld's so amazing and why he's such a great talent in this industry. We ain't talking about no book he brought out this month. He didn't do nothing in February. Here we are talking about Rob Liefeld. And here's the thing. I do like Tom King. I do. And I'll tell you this, Tom King's got more picks of the week than Rob Liefeld does. So, there you go. All right. Anyway, who's next? Manny.
Oh,
Pick of the month. What you got?
my pick of the month. I'm gonna throw this up, but the joke is gone. But you're calling my man Stu Ram Man, I think, and that can't stand. That can't stand. I mean, the character can't.
Like he's actually rough to stand because he's kind of top heavy. The action figure, not used to. I've never seen.
I'm
Stu's
definitely
probably
top
like
heavy.
8
Turn like
fucking
this.
tall. Like
I'm definitely,
stay scared
yeah.
about my microphone now, motherfucker. You know that's when we.
Oh, I hope he is. I hope we get to see a showdown, Stu and Spillio. Holy shit! All right.
That dude is so tall. You can even tell in the pictures. Like, oh my goodness,
Dude,
that boy is a tall one.
Robbie
Damn.
is tall. All right, Robbie is tall, and he looks tiny next to Bueller and Spillio.
I'm 5'11", man. I'm not tall. Come
It's-
on.
You're
You're
the Manny.
You're
I'm
short,
an,
man.
I'm an Asian. I am 5'6" with stilts on. All right. That being said, I'm gonna go back to fucking the end of January. Why not? I'm gonna go Alan Scott Green Lantern issue number 4 because this is an important book. And
Very.
I am very glad that I think it has been brought up. I think every month. So. This is a great issue. So we dive further back into there has been this narrative thread of this character Johnny who Alan was in love with, who tragically died, and we get to see kind of where that narrative thread goes when it's pulled, and it goes into Russian Red Lantern territory. I absolutely enjoy this book for the artwork. I think that the story is engaging, but more importantly, I love the idea of the realistic portrayal of the relationship between Johnny and Alan. The idea that Alan, a character willpower, so to speak. I know he's not like a Hal Jordan Green Lantern, but that's what I associate with the Green Lanterns, is willpower, and the idea that he has held the torch. He has, despite all these obstacles, despite small-minded bigots putting him in an asylum, besides all of these other things that he's gone through, he is who he is. And he has carried a torch for Johnny this entire time. Meanwhile, Johnny can't accept that facet of himself. He rationalizes it by saying, I was just doing what I had to do for Mother Russia. And he
Good
goes
accent.
and he gets married. I know, I'm baller like that. But he goes, he gets married, he hides that part of himself, and he's turned that love, that one of the most pure and raw emotions there is, into hate, which is its opposite and equal.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that these two characters have this face off in the grand scheme of everything that's been happening in this book, it's poetic. It's beautiful. I absolutely love this. And there's a moment in this issue, mild spoilers, but where Johnny has the upper hand on Alan, and they bring up something so silly and mundane, but so impactful. The lake house.
Yeah.
And Johnny is instantly disarmed. He falls down, sits on the ground next to Alan. I think they're back to back for that moment. And that image was so striking, that reminder that for a moment in time, they were both who they are, and that was okay. And that was important. And I just love this book.
I'll tell you what.
Well
Not
said,
only
dude.
Alan Scott, but all three of those new Golden Age spin-off books, like the Jay Garrick one, the Wesley Dodds one, and this one, they're all way better than they have any right to be. And Alan Scott Green Lantern is the first time. Now, Alan Scott, I think they decided that he would be a gay man, like in the New 52 era, is when they started with that, right?
I thought that was like right after like Future State, wasn't it?
That would have been in the New 52 era. So that's what I'm talking about. At the beginning of New 52, like when they did Earth 2, they like Alan Scott. They were like, we'll make him a gay man or something. Future's End is during New 52 stuff, right?
No,
it's
Future State's after Rebirth.
Future State is after.
Yeah,
Rebirth.
Robbie's talking Future's End.
Oh,
You're talking Future State, which was in the in
last
So
year.
what happened was we had like Joker War, right? And then we had like the Future State stuff, and then we had the Infinite Frontier. During the Infinite Frontiers, I think when they announced it, wasn't it?
No, it was
they revisited it.
It was New 52 stuff.
Yeah.
Is when they first did that. Like the New 52 version of Alan Scott from Earth 2, the comic book, was gay. Exactly.
Okay.
Damien's got my back.
Yeah.
Tynan kind of took it, but anyway, since that revelation happened, they never really used that like in any kind of way, except for anything that seemed like it was just pandering, or it was just like it wasn't like consequential to the character. This is the first book where they're really exploring what it meant for this character. It's not easy to be queer in America today, much less so in 1930 something, in 1940 something, to be in the military. I know people in the military that are part of the queer community, and it's not, it's interesting to see where we are now, but where it used to be, and to see the slow progression gives one hope, but at the same time, it just shows you how sad it is that the progression hasn't been as fast. And that's with any kind of, issue of acceptance of a minority, whether it's gay men or gay women or bisexuals or trans community or the Black community or the Latino community or the Native American community or anybody who's not, like most, anybody who's not vanilla, basically just boring. But anyway, I think, what am I trying to say? I'm rambling. I think the book is doing a great job of integrating his sexuality into his character, not making it the focus, but really showing us the weight of that on this character in his formative years as the Green Lantern. That's what I'm trying to say. Greg, you reading this one? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. You're 100% correct on these books. I literally picked them up because I was like, I had a couple interviews with some of the creators. I was like, I'll check them out before I interview, and they've been great. if they don't do something with these characters, like in a Justice Society book or something moving forward, I'll be disappointed. But you're getting to explore Alan Scott a lot more, and what's been really interesting to see is Sheridan's take on how how this not only affects his coming out of in the public, being in the being gay and stuff like that, but the aspect of how that relates with the other superheroes and things like that. And this Manny hit it on that scene at the end where the Red Lantern has Green Lantern in the red bubble, and he's talking about, and their backs are back, and you just almost the nostalgia of the love that they had for each other. He used, like, Alan Scott uses it against the Red Lantern here, and it's just a beautiful moment to see, like, because the whole time you're in this issue, you're kind of doing this balance of, did the Red Lantern character really actually care for Alan Scott? Like, he's like, I didn't, like, this is it. And Alan's like, nah, like, you can't fake that. Like, this connection that we had. And I think that was a beautiful telling, that moment where Alan broke down into him by mentioning the house that he bought. And, I think the Red Lantern says something like, you're so stupid, like in a coy way or something. That, that's a real beautiful thing about, like, these, whether he was originally doing it as, I'm doing this as my job for Russia. I'm not going to do the accent. I can't do Manny's accent justice, but I'll save that for Manny. But, was he really just doing it as a, hey, I'm going to be undercover, or did I actually also start to have feelings for it? And I think that scene shows you that he couldn't separate those two things. And this has just been surprisingly one of my favorites, because I had no desire. I didn't know much about the character of Alan Scott beforehand. So I didn't really, this is my first exposure really to who Alan Scott is and his character and stuff like this. And this has been an absolute delight.
Heck yeah. Good to hear. What about you, Stu? You reading Alan Scott, Green Lantern?
Yeah, I second everything Greg just said there. This is my first exposure to the character, really. I always thought he looked cool, and I was kind of, fascinated with that age of DC, but I thought this is like, the artist here, Torme or whatever, has been incredible. I thought the emotional stakes in the scene, the back and forth, kind of the twists and turns and the lead up to it. And I thought Manny just nailed it. Like, that scene was just so beautiful and well done. I love the art. I love the look on Red Lantern, and yeah, I love how it, like Greg said, it started with like that kind of ambiguity where you didn't know what was going on and really where he was coming from, and then we kind of got to that, it built that crescendo. It's been fantastic. Also, I want to say Sandman, I think #1 has a filthy variant by Martin Simmons, and I think there's one by Daniel Warren Johnson, so check those out if you guys are fans of his.
Hell yeah. What about you, Nick? You reading this one?
I'm not actually reading this one, so it's on my radar now, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, a DC book. That's it's pretty good. We're shilling for DC now. We have been. What about you, Carrie? Any thoughts on Alan Scott?
I do very much like this one. I can talk with the Russian dialect as well.
You sounded like Famke Janssen and GoldenEye, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. How do you keep warm in Russia? Yeah.
Mother Russia is paying me to sound like this, all right?
They do another Rocky and Bullwinkle movie. They're going to call you. You just wait.
You know what? It's that semester doing the dialects class for my theater degree is finally paying off, guys. It's finally happening. Someday I'll do my Southern dialect for you. But one of the things that always, like, I love this for all the reasons everybody's talking about to love it. But I also have a theory involving how Alan Scott has his powers in a different way than the rest of the Green Lanterns do. And I think that is going to be something that might apply to what's going on with Hal Jordan. In that if you're reading the Hal Jordan series, or if you're reading Alan Scott, but you're not reading the Hal Jordan series, just the Green Lantern, title, it might be worth it to check it out, because what's going on is, with this sector being closed off, somehow Hal Jordan still has power. And I think what we're going to find out, and I have this theory, and I might be wrong, so we'll mark this, and I'm either going to celebrate when I'm right or just be like, whatever, when I'm wrong. But I think what we're going to end up finding out is that Hal Jordan is now getting his power from the same kind of source that Alan Scott got his from.
It's a possibility. I think there's a little bit more connection into Green Lantern War Journal right now because they're dealing with Starheart stuff, which has always been kind of connected to the Alan Scott story. But that's a really valid theory because like that is a mystery in the current Green Lantern book. The good thing is this: for the first time since Jeff Johns has left the title, we got 3 Green Lantern books that are really solid. Like they're all really, really good. So great pick, Manny.
True.
Great picks all the way around so far. So let's invite Greg to come and fuck it all up. Greg, what's your pick of the
What I'm
month?
here for. Listen, there's been too much love for you DC and Marvel shills. I knew 80% of my poll list is DC. But let's go a little in. I have absolutely loved Boom Studios' The Displaced. Issue number 1, Ed Brisson, Luca Casaguida on art. If you're not familiar with it, this is one I highly recommend checking out. It's this idea, this concept that people in a town in Canada, that this whole town disappears, and there are residents from that town that aren't in the radius of where they disappear at that time. And what you start to see is how does that impact people? As you start to see in this first issue, people are starting to forget this town existed, and what does those ramifications have on these survivors who grew up with that knowledge, and how does that affect them, and how is it going to affect their relationships with each other? How is it going to affect their relationships? Like you see at this one, I think Ed does a beautiful job of character development of some of these characters right off the bat, that you feel invested in their stories, you feel invested in their in what they, why we should care about these characters. And then you throw in the mystery of what's going on. It has a, that kind of lost vibe of like, what the heck is happening? Why is this here? Why is the old man with a burning bus outside the radius trying to stop people from coming in? Like, they're like, and as he says, like, this is happening before. So this is a book that I've absolutely, the first issue, I was hooked, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
I really like Ed Brisson, right? There was a short-lived X-Force book that he did right before the Krakoa era started, when House of X and Powers of 10 came in. And it was like Kid Cable. I like calling him Kid Cable because it made me think of that show Kid Video, if anybody remembers that one. But he, ever since then, I was paying attention to his work. He's done some good stuff. He's got some good work on Iron Fist. He had a decent run on Ghost Rider. He's got a lot of potential, and I've read some stuff from him that makes me think, man, I'd love to see some creator-owned stuff from him. And then we get this book. I was immediately intrigued with the characters. All the characters were distinct. I liked the chaotic franticness of how they were all kind of put together in the first place and then brought back together by the end. The whole incident, it tickles that fun, like paranormal kind of vibe inside of me. Like, oh, this is a mystery. This is something that's being covered up. This is something that happens all the time. And just such a cool idea, such a personal character-based story, but then widens in the scope of its concept. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was incredibly well done, well executed first issue. What about you, Stu? Did you read this one?
No, unfortunately, this one flew under my radar. I echo what my man I'm a big Brisson fan, though, so I'm disappointed. But yeah, Sins of Salt and Sea I just read was dope by him, so I definitely want to check this one out. So thanks for the recommendation, Greg. I gotta get to that one.
Yeah, definitely worth checking it out. What about you, Nick? Did you read that one?
Yeah, this would be right up my alley, I think. But no, I did not get this one. Slipped under the radar for me too.
You did find the one, Greg, that Nick didn't read.
Yeah, dude, you did it.
I flipped it on Nick. Nick usually does it on me. And Nick I know Nick picked Avengers Twilight because he knew I read it. He's like, I'm gonna pick one I know he read when he's not gonna be around, and then he's gonna have an obscure pick.
I don't pay attention to you that much that I know what you're getting all the time. Don't do that.
No, I just think you assumed that I would. That's only a Marvel book I read.
I know it's really good though. It's really good, right?
It is.
What about you, Carrie? Did you read The Displaced?
No, I haven't. Question though. Brisson, is that for some reason I'm thinking, is he the guy that wrote the recent Batman Incorporated?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did
Okay.
Batman. He did Batman Incorporated and Deathstroke.
yeah.
The Deathstroke one too.
Okay. Alrighty. No, I have not read this, but it sounds interesting. Didn't he get like a letter from the city that he used like an actual city?
This is the city he grew up in.
Yeah.
The
He
city
got a
that
letter
he has
from them.
disappeared. He used the town he grew up in as the city that disappears in this.
Man, good for him, because I'm never going to use the city I grew up in for anything.
All right.
Manny, Displaced. Did you read it?
I did not. I haven't. I didn't read it yet though.
Okay. Well, damn, Greg, you picked one that
Yeah,
nobody read but
Greg.
me and you.
Hey, but the chat said it was great and you liked it, Robbie. So we're good.
Yeah, there you go. That Batman Incorporated run is severely underappreciated. Like severely. That's a really, really good run. And I immediately had points against it because I was like, don't try to bring back Batman Incorporated. You ain't Grant Morrison, right? Well, Ed wasn't trying to do Grant. Ed did Ed and made the best Ghostmaker story I've ever read.
Yeah, and I really like Ghostmaker as a character, and I really hope that wasn't his swan song, you know, like because I know he was a Tiny Onion character developed by Tinian, so I really hope that it wasn't his swan song. I hope we see him again.
Oh, we definitely will.
I
We
hope
definitely will.
Yeah.
All right, for my pick, let's see here. I could go with another Rom V book. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to talk about one of the most exhilarating, surprising, and just badass experiences I had this month reading a comic. I'm going with Savage Sword of Conan, number one.
Oh my!
Yes.
Let me tell y'all something. Back in the day, when I'm a little young whippersnapper here in Alabama in the 1980s, my stepdad had a comic book collection. He was in the Navy. He would send me comics, but there were some comics that he kept in his closet, in his military trunk, that I wasn't really allowed to go into. But I would go in there all the time because he had like these MREs. Wait, what are they called? Is that the edible ration thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Meals
MRE,
ready to eat.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like there are these peanut butter cracker things that I just loved. And I would love digging in there and looking at his pictures and looking at his stuff. And in there he had Savage Sword of Conan. And I used to like, this has got like blood and guts and beheadings and boobies and butts and like muscular men and like, holy shit. And I would just like read them like they were like Hustler magazines or something, right? And I would sneak in there when they would go out, you know, and I'd like read these Conan books. Now, the Jim Zub Conan the Barbarian, issues 1 through 4 in particular, bring me back to that era.
Yeah.
So let's just bring back Savage Sword of Conan, a giant, like 80-page, black and white newsprint comic book with a giant Conan story in it, all self-contained. Then a small Solomon Kane story by Patch Zurcher that's going to be continuing, a short story by Jim Zub that's based on the Joe Jusko cover, which is a great cover. And then the variant cover is amazing on it. The only thing that wasn't awesome about this book was that they haven't quite figured out how to print this black and white material on this newsprint. It's printing too dark and it's a little bit unclear. They'll work that out. But I'm going to tell you something. $6.99 for what took an hour of my evening. And it was the most pleasurable hour I spent that evening. It was so good. That main story is so badass with the giant dinosaurs in this city under siege filled with like dead, rotting people. Conan's attitude, this chick. I mean, it has all of the classic Conan elements all working together. And I'm not a swords and sorcery kind of guy at all. But holy cow, am I excited for Savage Sword of Conan. And we always talk about the excitement generated in the comic book industry so far in 2024, Marvel's Ultimate line. things like Avengers Twilight, DC actually having a plan leading into an event that actually feels like it's earned. Like Absolute Power feels like it's earned. I'm ready. I'm ready to see Amanda Waller strike. I want to see Zur-En-Arr be a part of that. I'm excited to be introduced to the Brainiac Queen. By the way, my boy Mark Spears has got an awesome Brainiac Queen variant that's coming for Action Comics. So y'all just be on the lookout for that. I don't want to undercut, but the Energon universe as well. Don't forget the importance of these Conan books reaching back out to old fans and bringing them in. You got so much going on in this industry right now that's got me incredibly excited. Me and Tony were talking about it last night. Tony Fleece, who was also just on Greg's channel this week too, right? We were talking. I was like, man, you are poised right now because you're bringing back the whole team of Stray Dogs to do Ferals, which is better than Stray Dogs. Me and Greg have checked it out. Trust us, it looks like a Don Bluth movie come to life on page, man.
The art is fantastic.
The art is amazing. So just check out those
Trish
interviews.
Trish is doing the art again.
She's doing the cats, and then Tone Rodriguez is actually doing the full backgrounds. In Stray Dogs, he did the layouts. He's doing full backgrounds that look so rich and dense and painterly. And then her cats, it has that old school. Like it looks like Hanna-Barbera.
It looks like they
Don
did
Bluth.
the animation cells on still.
It's gorgeous. We're in a really good time for this industry right now, and Savage Sword of Conan and Conan the Barbarian as well. That's a part of it. Stu, did you read Savage Sword of Conan?
Yeah, so I got my man Nick to thank for this, and when he was on Supreme Clientele, he brought up the Jim Zub run, and I read that and I loved it, and I had really I didn't hear about this one until the boys in the Vag Chat put me on, and I saw it on the shelf, dude, and I was just flipping through it laughing to myself. Like, it's just ridiculous. And I thought I'd have a problem at first with the $6.99 price tag, but for what we got, I mean, like you said, man, we got all those short stories. We got like a prose story, I think, from Jim Zub. Like, that you can't beat that. I'm
dude, even the little thing in the back about Solomon Kane, I found riveting. You're right. And Roy Thomas's introduction, like I read every word in this motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't do that. I went through this like a Scream Factory Blu-ray, bro. Like everything. No, not a corner left unturned. What?
Yeah, man. But it's so I'm not an old school fan, but it's making a new fan out of me. It was incredible.
Hell yeah. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a year ago, if you would have told me I have 2 different Conan books on my pull list, I don't know what I would say, man. I wouldn't believe it for sure. Like, to me, it felt corny, almost. Like, I mean, it's not the right word. It felt like something I wouldn't be interested in. But when the new #1 came out, the damn #1 hype, right? When the Zub run came out, I was reading that one. I'm like, damn, this first arc is really good. It was like in my top 3 or 4 books every time it would come out. I had a great time with it. And then, Savage Sword comes on FOC, and I'm like, well, I definitely got to pick it up because I'm a new Conan fan, right? And so picked it up and I loved it. I will agree they got to figure out that printing though, because it almost looked like it was colored, and then they dialed it back and they made it artificially black and white, and then they printed it. They'll fix that hopefully, but like it's a great value at $6.99. The voices all sound pretty true. Again, I'm still learning the character, learning the voice, but it's pretty straightforward. Had a hell of a time with it, man. Totally agree. I sat down, read it all at once, and it was a beautiful hour. Really, really cool.
Yeah, it was. In fact, the reason why it wasn't my pick of the week, it almost beat out Ron V's Rare Flavors if they would have had the printing figured out, right? And I'm sure that for the artist, it looked great on the screen. You can tell that there's computer toning being done in that main story in particular, and it just didn't replicate, right? It just didn't really quite work for me. But man, they'll figure that out. Because but aside from that, like I'm fine. And that's the only complaint I've heard from people. Everybody else has been loving this book. Carrie, by any chance, did you pick up Savage Sword of Conan?
I would like to apologize to my boyfriend. Today we went and picked up our comic books, and he saw the Savage Sword of Conan, and I was like, man, it's $6.99. I don't know about that. And he's like, okay, well, we won't get it. I don't know if he's watching because he said he might not watch this evening, but sweetie, I'm so sorry. We can go pick it up tomorrow. I did not realize how much of a banger this was supposedly going to be. I thought it was too expensive, and I apologize. We will go pick it up tomorrow. No, but I think every guy that I know that has a love for Conan has a similar story to you, Robbie. Like he will tell me, he's told me like from the moment I met him that he used to read old Robert E. Howard stories with his grandfather. And it's one of the things that like means so much to him. And I messed up. We're gonna pick it up tomorrow.
It's all right. That's what this show is for.
You're making amends. That's all you can do.
Yeah, and now he'll get it, and he'll love it, hopefully. And I'll tell you what, $6.99 is actually not that far off.
Yeah, it's good
from the typical price we've been getting in most comics, and there's so much more to it. They just got to figure out that printing. What about you, Manny? Did you read this one?
I did not. As far as swords and sorcery go, fantasy books, my the closest I get is like Narnia. So if you guys want to talk about like the Cabinet issue #1, we could do that. But I did not read this one.
Okay. What about you, Greg?
Carrie told me the price point was too high, so I did not get it. Carrie did not want me to get the book, so.
Man, you just let Jason Aaron and all the other bearded comic bros down. Your whole guild is like.
Here's the truth. I've never read anything Conan.
It's a good time for Conan.
I didn't either until 8 months ago, man. And I'm all in.
So this is it. So I know we're talking about this one, but is this the one to start out with then? If I've never read Conan,
yeah,
okay, it doesn't matter because it's so archetypical that it doesn't really matter. Like the themes are universal. You'll jump right in. You'll understand the roles. You know what I mean? His voice is very clear.
And this
is very straightforward.
It's a complete that main story, which is like a 50-60 page story or something. It's huge, but it's like it's worth it. It is so bad.
But I would definitely go back and pick up the first arc of the other Zub run that's going on. I would get that one and this one, to be honest with you. You can skip this current arc, maybe.
I am such an asshole. I'm such an asshole.
All right, so round one for our picks of the month, we had a Rom V book, we had a Marvel book, we had a DC book, Tom King, of course. We had another DC book, and then we had a Titan book that I picked and Greg picked. Displaced is Boom, right?
Yep, Boom.
What a great mix. For everybody always said we're too indie heavy or something like that. Does this not show you that right now comics across the board
killing it?
Some of these publishers are starting to like get some things lined up that are pretty solid, and this week looks really solid as well. All right, now it's time for round two, a little bit of a quicker round. So really only speak up if you read the book. We'll have a little bit more of a natural flow to it. But what's your next book? What's the runner-up, Stu, amongst all of these giants we've talked about?
I'm gonna go John Constantine, Hellblazer Death America #2. Yeah, I did do it. I'm sorry. I gave you the first round, dude. I thought
you did. You warned me.
You know what I mean? And here we are, dude. This has been fantastic. I love the stakes here with Dream of the Endless, kind of putting him on the hunt for some crumbles of sand. The art by Aaron Campbell has been amazing. The covers have been ridiculous. Cy Spurrier's writing. I love a writer who doesn't, take for granted your intelligence as a reader. And Cy's one of those. He just gets John's voice like on some Alan Moore shit. It's beautiful. I love his humor. It's just like it's a perfect John Constantine book for me so far. I've enjoyed this run more than the previous one. The previous one was great, but like the way this is starting off, I like this one a little bit more. So
I agree with you on that one, Stu. I'm liking this one starting right into it better than the previous one. It is straight up Vertigo John Constantine Hellblazer. Like that's what it is. And that's the Hellblazer we need. We don't need this kind of like softened nerf herder version of John Constantine that we get in the DCU. Like keep him out of there. I don't care about the former connection, this and that. I don't care about any of that. Like this is good. Playing with all of that. The art is so dark and gnarly. And that character that he's dealing with, she's badass, dude. What a cool story. What a cool single issue. Cy Spurrier does some complex shit. Case in point, his latest issue, The Flash. What the fuck was that, dude? That's like advanced physics or something. I'm so confused, but I still loved it. But Cy Spurrier is able to do complex stuff, but in an interesting way. Nick, I know you want to speak on this one.
Yeah, and that Danny cover too. First off, that's an outstanding cover. So we talked about Hellblazer Dead America last month, right? I think I had mentioned it was one of my top or something like that. And you all recommended I go back and read the other 12-issue run that he put out back in like 2021 or 22, whatever that was. And I read all 12 issues in like a week, like on top of my weekly stuff. And I just consumed it. And I fell in love with that series. It was such a great series. Like, I still like that run better where we are, like up to issue 2 so far. I think, well, they might be dead even. There were some amazing issues towards the end of that run, but this one was great. You all were talking about like Sai's voice with Constantine. Absolutely perfect. Like that's exactly how I would picture it. This character sounding like and acting like the character that he introduces inside of this book right here. So much like rich mythology and lore, and the story of this character was like so compelling and tragic and heartbreaking, but like she got her revenge, man. Like she did what she can do to like screw over the system that screwed her over, right? And so like that was an awesome story, and I love that character so much. And I like the quick wittiness of John at the very end of it as well, to like get whatever version of Swamp Thing this is back up and running, you know what I mean? And him just flipping the tables, dark, gritty. I loved it, man.
Yeah, I love it in America too, like how like the little things, like in the first issue when they get pulled over and the cops got the gun on the black kid or whatever, and he calls them Dread, you know, like little quips like that are just so hilarious.
Yeah, and he definitely definitely got his at the beginning of this book too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was brutal. But I love watching him kind of make his way through America and kind of acclimate himself to all things American. It's great.
I would really recommend to Stu. Have you read any of the previous Hellblazer stuff from like the 90s and early 2000s or anything like that?
Yes, I've read. I've read some of it. I don't know.
Okay, in particular, the Brian Azzarello run.
I haven't read Azzarello.
Okay, the Brian Azzarello run is Constantine in America, and he goes like all the way through America, and it's such a great story. The first arc is called Hard Times. Richard Corbin does the artwork.
Are you serious?
Yes, and then another guy comes in. I think it's like Leandro Fusen or something. I can't remember the artist's name, but it's like an L and an F, I think. It's freaking awesome. Like the whole damn run is awesome. And it was controversial at the time because Brian Azzarello was the first non UK writer. Yeah. He was the first American writer on Constantine. And it was controversial, but it works. And it's one of my favorite ones. Anybody else down there in the basement read this one?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Carrie?
I think that characters like John Constantine are my catnip. Like, I love cocky, arrogant bastards. Like, cocky, arrogant bastard like John Constantine. Just, I don't know what it's just. It's hot. It's hot. It's weird, but it's hot.
Of course, it's hot. It's a character based on Sting, right? So it has to be, right? Nerdtastic. Did you read this one?
Yes, I did, and I won't go into one of my long philosophical things. Y'all can check out the video review for that. But I do love, just briefly, the themes in this one. The comeuppance that Stu alluded to, but also the point that's hammered home about the ones that are forgotten are the ones that get oppressed the most. You know, we sweep wickedness under the rug. We like to create monsters, demons, heroes, villains, and we there's a certain amount of societal wickedness that we allow, and we sweep that under the rug. And it's bittersweet to see a Constantine kind of get a one-over or a comeuppance on an antagonist who so brilliantly exemplifies the idea of the forgotten victim. And there's a bittersweetness to that, but it also is par for the course for Constantine, who, just like the book alludes to, turns his son into a killer. He has wronged Nat, he has wronged Noah, he has wronged Dreeb, and now he's wronged this character as well. So there's again, just that idea of sacrificing for what John wants, and whether or not we want to continue to root for a protagonist that does that.
Manny, you're spot on, and I love you so much. I love it when you're like, I'm not going to go into one of these long philosophical things. That was a short.
I timed it. That was 15 seconds, dude. That's like a fucking. That is so a record for me.
It was great, man.
Okay.
Nick, really, y'all? Who's that?
Manny.
It's the one who said the timer.
Manny.
It was my alarm.
He had to give himself a timer. So he
Great.
could
I
keep
thought mine
going,
was.
Robbie.
I thought mine was Hellblazer.
Oh man, I love it. Don't worry. The only thing after us is a show with me on it. So, but we re-recorded it last week, so it's okay. The Snick.
Dude, I don't know.
What's another book you want to talk about?
You don't know? There's like 20.
I know. Well, that's the
books.
problem. It was going to be this
February's
one.
really good, man.
Let's talk about. Oh shit. Let's talk about Ultimate Spider-Man. Issue number 2. Like I said, there's like 5 or 6 other ones over
We're
here.
about to get 20 more viewers. Ultimate Spider-Man. Say it again.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Hickman.
At the timestamp.
This book is really cool. So because he's not telling us anything we don't know, which is really interesting. Like we know the origin essentially of Spider-Man. We know the training montage, how he becomes familiar with fighting crime, how he tries to stop himself from swinging and he loses his step and he hits something. Everything that we touch on in this book is not new. We've seen it before in the movies. We've seen it before in the other comics and stuff. Yet it's also really engaging still just because of the style that it's written in, the way that it's written, the way that it's drawn. And it kind of proves that, like, yeah, you can put a new coat of paint on something. If you do it the right way, it's still going to sell like crazy. It's still going to be ultra engaging and it's going to feel good when you read the comic. Like this is a comic that, again, is not telling us anything new, but the way that it's written, the way that it's drawn is super engaging. And everybody has a great time when they read this book, I feel like. And I think the reviews and the fact that it's selling out and it just kind of speaks for itself. There's a lot of great character moments in here. Like we talked about before, I've never been so engaged with like 2 dudes sitting in a sauna, just like chilling, talking about their future right now than I have.
You're not visiting the right saunas, Nick.
I know I haven't been the ones that ban towels. I think are the saunas that
you got to go to the saunas that Prince went to.
Yes.
That's what you got to do, like Manny.
W. Maxwell Prince. And we're back. Okay, and John's in the chat too. I know he loves issue number 1. But how naive he is too. Like when he approaches his very first villain and the conversation that they have and the one over that he gets from like the Shocker character, and then he has to like do all that lessons learned and approaches it a slightly different way and it fails again. Like that's exactly how an innocent character who's not used to the crime fighting style just yet would react to the situation. Again, it was charming. And the little girl, oh my God, like the conversation with his daughter, with May about the scary spider that's on the news right now and she's afraid of it and everything, and he tries to console her and comfort her. It was so like heartwarming, right? I just loved everything about that. And then we also get a tie-in from Ultimate Invasion with some of the Illuminati people continuing to pull the strings in this Ultimate Universe, really kind of pushing down on Kingpin. And of course, Kingpin, having the ego that he has, is like, no one's going to hold me down, dude. I'm going to figure out a way to bust out of this. So again, really engaging stuff, things we've seen 1,000 times before, but written in a way that's super exciting, and it's got everybody talking about it.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And this is what everything you said, right? It was so fun to see an adult Peter learn and explore his powers, right? It was also cool to see him apparently not understand the spider sense yet, like was pointed out in the chat by who was that? That was Taylor. Yeah, Dude cannot dodge a punch. The Shocker stuff was cracking me up. I laughed out loud. That's something you need to do in a Spider-Man comic. Artwork by Marco Cicchetto, absolutely amazing. The design on the Goblin, kind of like obviously inspired by, we could say Stark armor, but definitely the Willem Dafoe armor from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
But what really impresses me about this book, this is by Jonathan Hickman. I've never, ever in my life thought Jonathan Hickman is a grounded, character-focused writer. Like, give me like you know what I'm saying, and or a humorous writer, right? He's usually these big, like the whole setup of the Ultimate Universe is very typical Hickman, but this is a very small story. It'd be like he sets up East to West, lets other people take care of certain bits, but he goes in and tells us the single story about death. Now, he does do well with character. He does do well with grounded emotions, but doing a book that's based in just that smaller reality in the midst of this Hickman reimagining. I mean, it is the Ultimate Universe right now by Hickman is the Marvel Universe by way of East of West in a way. Like, it's kind of like everything's broken up with the power structure and the divisions, and what a great book. And as a retailer, what a great book. Like, seriously, like, you know, 4th print just got announced. 3rd print's out this week. It's going to sell out too. And somebody said in my chat, or somebody said in one of my comments on that video, it's disingenuous to say that it's been selling out because everybody under ordered it. Just because we under ordered it doesn't mean that demand's still there. Second print sold out. Third print sold out. Fourth print. Here's the thing. I work at a comic shop. I know how many copies I sell of every single comic book. I know that I personally over-ordered Ultimate Spider-Man. Sold out.
We did too.
Second print didn't meet my demand for issue number 1 again. Third print will barely meet that demand finally. But that demand goes up every single day. When I go and check my, our files, like when people add and drop things from their list, all I see is add Energon, add Conan, add Ultimate. And it's just happening. And, just wait, because it's just getting started. Ultimate X-Men is this week, and Ultimates starts on the Free Comic Book Day issue by my boy Dennis Camp. Y'all,
yes,
I can't say much, but just trust my ass right now. Ultimates is going to blow your ass out of the fucking water. And I'm lucky. I'll be very surprised if Dennis gets away with what he wants to do with that book. So I'm very, very pumped. Who's got thoughts on Ultimate Spider-Man? Speak up.
Tons of them. And there's a really well-produced video on my channel where you can check out my thoughts on issues 1 and 2. But I just find it super refreshing. Like Nick said, it is stuff we've seen before, but the slant isn't like the web swinging and the fun, and to use one of Robbie's words, the buoyancy of the character and the bounciness of it. What's interesting to me is the idea that it is a complete flip on Peter Parker. He doesn't just get bit by the spider. He's not a victim of circumstance. He chooses to get bit by the spider. He chooses great power, knowing he's going to have this responsibility where he already has priorities and responsibilities that are so different than what teenage Peter Parker had. So the idea that he still maintains his Peter Parker-ness while simultaneously being something totally different and relatable for 36-year-old people as well. It's really well done. This was just a beautiful book.
Oh yeah, who else got thoughts?
I loved it, but I think you guys said it already. I love the conversation with the two of them and how they're going to approach these two, like the Green Goblin and Spidey, and cover that. I thought that was great. I love the moments Hickman chooses to show us. I love Chiquetto's art with the action. I think Mary Jane looks absolutely gorgeous. The stuff with the kid was really cool. You can already see like the cracks starting to form, and there's certain things to worry about, but I agree with what Taylor said in the comments. It does feel like a joyous book, and it's been great so far.
Carrie and Gregor, y'all not reading this one?
I'm not reading it.
No, but I think it's funny, people in the comments being all like, it's disingenuous to get excited about the fact that a book is selling well in the market today, Well,
I think the point was that I was like, it being sold out is not a big deal because it didn't. I think that comment was about numbers, but still, like the numbers. I mean, this is. These are sometimes Marvel does a second printing and you're like, why are you doing a second printing? I still got like dozens and dozens of these on my shelves, but like to them it's like cool, but no, this is legitimately, we need this book in print. Like keep pumping them out, Marvel, because the demand keeps going up. It just keeps going up. It is unprecedented. It's great. And they're gonna fuck it all up though when they reveal who the Green Goblin is, and it's Harry Osborn, but it's the version of Harry Osborn from the Amazing Spider-Man movie. He looks like Gollum, and he's just like, that's going to really mess it all up.
It's J. Jonah Jameson, right? like we're pretty sure.
It's fucking Uncle Ben.
It's Uncle Ben, man.
It could be.
He's like a Power Ranger in Super Sentai, where like they'll actually like change their form. Like I remember in Courier, there was like a fat dude from Europe, and then like when he would morph, he would like, and he'd go into this like super muscled body. Oh man, it's so weird. Yeah, I hope they do that. Actually, that'd be great. And then he has to fight Uncle Ben. That'd be great. Way different. Hickman, don't do that. Carrie, what's another book you want to highlight? Fascinating.
Great pick.
So it's not just me.
It's a fantastic pick.
Okay,
That's a good one.
we'll just move right along to Manny until Carrie gets back.
Let's You know what?
Hey, what's up, Fire Guy Ryan? How you doing, buddy?
Oh man, I was just about to talk about Crashdown.
Where are you? I mean, you don't have
No.
to.
No, no, I'm not.
The
gonna
check
talk
hasn't
about
cleared yet from Ryan and Tom, so we don't have to
Alright.
talk about that one yet.
You know what? Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go with another DC book just to keep shit balanced. We're gonna go with Penguin
There you go.
issue number 7. It was really good. It was really good. It continues to be really good. I love the way that we're bouncing around narrators in this book. We're just I don't know. It's fun. It's a fun way to tell the story. The art in this, freaking everybody is terrifying. Every single person in this book just looks scary. And I like the back and forth between Penguin and Batman. The last page in this, where Penguin finds out a key piece of information, I kind of feel like the person he finds the information about wouldn't be dumb enough to let that happen. So I'm kind of intrigued to see where this goes. I want to see how long of a leash Batman has Oswald on. It's just an intriguing book, and I really enjoy it. And the art is amazing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it is good. I'll echo what you said on the character design and just the creepiness in their eyes. The eyes really stand out. Penguin's eyes in particular, and then Batman, whenever he's in the scene, he's got that like the abyss of a frame, right? And then he's got those really tiny little white eyes that are just scary almost, like everyone's drawn in this menacing way. Totally like that. And like the narration, like you said, every single character has, we get their inner monologue, we get their thoughts of every single character, which is cool because King does that in a lot of books, like almost every book. There's always this inner monologue that's just like layered on top of the dialogue happening between the characters on screen. This one, he takes that like average word count and shrinks it down to like 25%. It just gives you the meat and potatoes of it. You know what I mean? So you get that flavor, and then the very next page it switches, and the very next page it switches. So the perspective and the voice, what they're talking about, all that stuff switches, and it keeps things fresh, keeps things moving. Which is really nice.
I'm really loving reading this and what Chip motherfucking Zdarsky was doing with Joker Year One. I like seeing the way that those two characters early in their career are being presented right now, and it's cool how different they are, right? In Year One, Joker Year One, Joker's like this scared guy that Dr. Caprio has to teach to be fearless and teach to be the Joker. In this, Oswald knows who he is right from the start.
Yeah.
And it just builds on that, using his own insecurities, everything, giving us a full-rounded character, but one that's also super manipulative. I don't know. I just really digging it.
Yeah, it's a cool angle.
So we're talking about Penguin, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I want to jump in here. Because I'm ready to have this conversation. I really like the Penguin. I think the Penguin is really solid, and I've liked it since issue 2. First issue didn't really quite win me over, but issue 2 made me take notice. That was one of the best single issues of last year. Was Penguin number 2, right?
Is that the Help issue? Was that or was that 3?
Yeah. And I didn't
The
give
Help
a
issue
shit
was
about
incredible.
anything from Killing Joke, right? So I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my goodness. But I get to the end of that, I'm like, this is badass. So when I went and met Tom King, the first thing I did, I know other people would, I'm not an asshole. I mean, I am, but I'm not really. Like when I went and met Tom King, I'm not going up to him being like, explain your Animal Pound ash can essay, or anything like that, right? I go up to him, I'm like, bruh, Penguin. So we talk about it. He's like, dude, that book's so mean. I can't believe I'm getting away with it, dude. And we had a great discussion about it. And I love the book. I love the book. Menacing, threatening, calculating. That is Oswald in this book. And you hardly ever see him like that. All the Batman books I read growing up, he's the guy that Batman shows up, beats up, gets some information from, and goes on. Yeah. Now, Tom King is trying to kind of explain that dynamic, which is leading us to spoilers. The idea that Penguin was set up by Batman to be in this position, to take over from Falcone, right? To take over the Iceberg Lounge. Mm-hmm. Bruce Wayne owns it technically, right? He bought it for Oswald. He gives him information. They even set up the persona of the Penguin so that if he gets busted, he gets sent to Arkham, which is a rotating door, as opposed to 20 years at Blackgate.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Couple that with what Chip Zdarsky's doing. At the end of the Gotham War, somebody found out who Bruce Wayne was. They're building up to Bruce Wayne's identity being revealed by Amanda Waller, right? That's what we're building up to, I think, right? It's gonna be a big thing. So not only do they reveal it, but they reveal that he's in cohorts with the Penguin and all this. Think about it, because Zur-En-Arr is part of her crew on Absolute Power. Zur-En-Arr knows everything of Bruce, right?
Would they really go there? Like, come on, like
they killed Alfred.
Superman. They did it with Spider-Man,
yeah, right?
and they'll go there. They'll just undo it somehow, right? But another crisis on the horizon.
Yeah.
I hope I get to write this one. But I don't know how I feel, not necessarily about where I think it might be leading to or where there's been some speculation, but back to the idea of just Bruce being the one to set up Penguin in this position, to use him for information, all this stuff. But meanwhile, it's actually Oswald who's using Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about that yet. I got to let this sit for a while because it makes Batman look incredibly fucking stupid.
See,
right?
Even the smartest man has the stupid moment. Like,
yeah, but like so every writer does that though. Like Scott did it when he came in and is like, oh, Batman never knew or thought about the Court of the Owls. I thought I knew Gotham inside and out, and I was wrong.
Mhm.
Everybody does this shit though. Like everybody comes in and this is the thing, right? And that's fine and that's cool, but it just makes Penguin, it elevates Penguin, but to the detriment of Batman, I think, just a little bit.
See,
But I haven't fully formed
Go,
my
Manny, 'cause
thoughts.
I got
on
my own thing too.
what I was gonna say with that, what I was alluding to without trying to be spoilery was, I think Batman does that. I think Batman isn't giving away the farm by saying Bruce Wayne paid for it. For all we know, Batman and Bruce Wayne are just in cahoots, right? So the idea that now Penguin knows who paid for the Iceberg Lounge is giving him a piece of information to make Penguin feel like he's in power. I think Batman is still playing whatever 4D chess or whatever the hell the phrase is. I think he's giving him that because when Oswald's been cornered, he's made decisions that are rash, emotional, and Batman can't necessarily have control of those situations. So I think this is just a bone he's giving him.
the question is who is playing the long game and who is just stupid.
Yeah, and I think Batman. I think that he's keeping his friends close, his enemies closer, right? So it's like he's giving him a leash. It's obviously a give and take. He's letting him rise to power because maybe at the end of the day, he knows that he won't ultimately be the biggest threat to Gotham at the moment. He's going to take advantage of that relationship, take all those leads, take care of some stuff, keep him real close, right? And so maybe he won't I don't know, go too far because he knows Batman's just right there, right? But I think
a controlled rebellion.
But yeah. But then Robbie, I think you're right too. I think that it's going to slip out of his fingers. It's going to slip through his fingers. I think he's going to get too powerful too quickly, right underneath, and he's just smart enough to keep Batman away and build up his regime, right? Build up his empire. And Batman's going to be like, oh shit, I let that one slip a little bit because I was taking advantage of the situation, and I was used to this groove we were in. And I think that's interesting. I'm okay with Batman being a little vulnerable. Otherwise he's Superman, right? It's just like it's just too much.
Well, I mean, I'm loving what take a drink. I'm loving what Rom is doing on Detective Comics. He's making Batman vulnerable a little bit,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
That's not what it is, but like making him stupid. Like, are you telling me that Batman has no clue that this little fuck is doing what he's doing? Like, I don't know.
I think he knows everything he's doing. I think he's got him down.
Okay, I get that. Like, and the thing is, I'm going to see how this goes because this book's been great. It's been really solid so far. Greg, you've been quiet. You got thoughts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I love this series. I like where it's going. As much as I like the issues of 2 and 3, like where you had the Help and the Freedom Fighters, this finally feels like these like issues 5, 6, 7 are telling more of a continuous story. Where those were a little bit more like just some really great issues. But this is where we're starting to see, like, like we're seeing with Batman working together with Penguin. And it's starting to make sense of why we saw the opening scene that we did in issue 1 with Batman and Penguin in the boat. When you're like, how are they going to get out of this situation? And we've kind of left that alone. And so where's the story going now with this of you're at least starting to see how Batman and Penguin are probably somewhat together so that they're in that situation and predicament. So this has been one surprisingly I've loved. I picked it up because it was a Tom King book, not because it was a Batman book. because I don't like Penguin as a character typically. And this is making me actually invest and care about a character that out of Batman's Rogues Gallery is very, very low on my list of favorite characters. So this has been fantastic. I love the more grounded version that we're getting of a Penguin here, of the gangster, the sinister mobster, not the joke of a character that, he can be portrayed. Like you said, I think it was Robbie or maybe it was Nick. I don't know. Someone said, where Penguin's always the one getting beat up. And, this is where Penguin actually brings some weight and some gravitas to him as a character of saying, I can go toe to toe with the Batman.
Yeah. DC's excited. They're excited about Penguin, this Colin Farrell series. And I mean, who kicked off the Zadars? Who kicked off the Failsafe saga? Penguin. You know what I mean? Now Penguin's got a show or a book that puts him more in line with the gangster character. Like they're building this character up.
And don't forget the first pages of this Penguin book. Like not this issue, but the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
You remember what it is? It's Penguin dying. He calls Batman Bruce, and Bruce says, she went too far. She's messing it all up. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, shit.
Oh.
Any other thoughts on Penguin before we
I just wanted to say I thought the Black Spider issue was incredible as well, and that whole thing, like him working and trying to get the Venom for his boyfriend, and how they exploited that, and that was just like another one of those ones, like character studies similar to The Help, that I thought was brilliant. Yeah, but it's a comic you always get to, and you're in for a treat, like one way or the other. It's been fantastic. So
interesting thing going on with the narration too, where we get so many. Maybe y'all mentioned this, but we get so many perspectives, so many characters. None of them Oswald. Yeah. We never know what's going on in his head unless he tells somebody else, right? And what is he? He's an unreliable narrator, but even though he's not narrating, right? So I don't know. I think that's an interesting. There's going to be something there, and you're right. Like the tie-in with. Yeah, the Colin Farrell series. I completely forget about that because it feels like the Batman was like 20 years ago at this point, right? Carrie, what's your other book you want to highlight tonight?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's keep the Batman train rolling a little bit with Detective Comics. I've been an intense fan of this run for many reasons, one of which is theatrical properties. We all know how Ram V is structuring this book. But I read this today and I was sitting there, I was like reading in particular the Dr. Hurt portions, and it reads like a monologue. Like the kind of monologue that you want to go and you want to stand on stage and audition for a role to do. You're looking to get the main antagonist part of any theatrical production by reading and reciting what this guy says. It also reminds me, I don't know if there's, I know that you guys aren't Doctor Who fans, but I wonder if there's any Doctor Who fans in the chat, because Dr. Hurt and the way he is portrayed in this reminds me of the Neil Patrick Harris recently played this role, the toy maker.
Toy maker? Yeah.
Yeah. The toy maker kind of reminded me of the toy maker reading this.
Hell yeah. What do you? We've talked about Detective Comics a lot, and I think it continues to be amazing. Ron was talking about this arc in particular. Riccardo Federici, he particularly had him in mind for these scripts. Ron knows who's doing each page that he's scripting for, so it's all meticulously planned, operatic, sweeping, romantic, tragic, gothic. I mean, Detective Comics rocks. It's just sad that it's ending, but all good things. Like the last episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation must come to an end. All right.
I just want to ask real quick. I know we're time. I've been reading.
No, we're fine, bro.
I like Ram V. I love Ram V. I'm a Detective Comics fan. I have found this arc though slightly jarring for me from the way that it's going, the way that it's interweaving the Dan Waters story in through the Ram V one. It takes me out of the story, and I don't know if obviously it's not supposed to do that, and it's supposed to be this operatic thing that Carrie you're mentioning. But for me, the art styles are so drastically different that it just it is hard for me to get invested in this arc because I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions.
For me, it's also the structure of how the book is put together. That's one thing. That's one complaint the one complaint I had about the entire thing was, for me, I don't mind the art change because it makes it clear what's going on and where we are. But what I will say is, when you have a thought started at the end of one page, and it's supposed to carry over slightly into the other story, and you have a stupid advertisement in between, and then you're sitting there flipping back and forth like, what the heck just happened here? That's the one thing that the one complaint I have, which is just how the book is structured and put together, because that does like make you go like, ugh, like, do we really need the advertisement here? Because that takes people out of what's going on.
Oh, Marvel's the worst at that right now.
Yeah. They used to do these advertisements, especially back in the 90s, where they would be like little mini comics, like a comic book advertisement, and you'd be reading an issue of Spider-Man.
Yes.
You go right, you start reading, you're like, I'm fucking lost, man.
What's going on? Cereal now.
What's going on?
What does this have to do with
why are the M&Ms all of a sudden showing up?
Any other thoughts on tech, as all the cool kids call it?
I'll agree with Greg on that. I mean, I wish, Batman finding himself was the whole story, like the part with the question and the part with Dr. Hurt. While those are great stories, I'm just like always dying to get back to the main story. You know what I mean? And just see that progression, see that all the way through. And I don't know. I'm enjoying all three little sections of the book, but I wish we would just get a whole story of the main issue.
I get it, but there's no way you get Ricardo to do a whole issue.
Oh, I know. I get the logistics of it. I just wish
this would be one where I'd almost like it more in a Batman Brave and the Bold format or something, where there's told him. It takes it too much out of the rhythm for me, and I would like Nick said, I'd rather just have the Rom V story there with the art to see it in all its glory, so it's not interrupted, like Carrie's saying, with the ads, and then get some of the others, because I think it's so complement. Again, who am I to tell Rom V and Dan Waters how to write a book, structure a book?
Okay, so in the last issue, it did the same thing where there was the three different stories, but they were actually broken up, right?
Yeah.
Where it was like 1, 2, 3. This one kind of goes.
It interchanged it in that one too.
Oh, it did?
Yep, it did the exact same format as this one too. Okay. And it was just I guess problem for me is I feel like I'm a comic book reader. That first arc, I flipped back and forth so many times in the issue going, what's going on? Because there was no setup for me to tell me in any capacity of what I'm reading here. Because there was if they're going to do this format, they at least need to have this credit page right at the beginning and showing me as I'm going in that I think that I'm going to be reading. The story's going to interweave, so I'm not flipping back and forth going, wait, what's going on? Is this a flashback? I don't know, because they don't put the credits until the end.
Yeah,
so
give us that break.
It was very jarring for me, and it was very confusing for me as a reader. At least I can go into this issue a little bit more knowledgeable of like, okay, here's where it's going. Okay. It did not read well for me, and I think that's my one complaint.
I got you. I will say this. Aside from the intermission, which was the issues that were done by Jason Alexander. Yeah. Those issues, and Liam Sharp was in there a little bit. Those issues seemed more fast-paced, more like typical stuff. That's the intermission, right? And so, like, when you look at Act 1 or the prelude in Act 1 and Act 2, and now that we're in Act 3, I think all of those read better in a trade or in the trade. Like, I got the hardcovers. There's 2 hardcovers out right now, like the prelude and Act 1. There will be Act 2, the intermission, and then there'll be Act 3. So it's going to make like a 5-volume set that they'll eventually put together in an omnibus. Here's the thing: when you read those ones together, it has a better pace. And I feel like knowing how Rom V likes to play with rhythm, it's so important to him. I feel like when we get this whole completed third act, that's part of the rhythm of it being like doom, doom. Like all those changes. And then I think they may even start being like quicker and be like doom, doom,
Yeah, it'll be- yeah.
I think once you're
And,
not
lead up.
breaking them up with ads and that kind of thing, which you wouldn't be in a trade, obviously, that's going to be a lot easier for a lot of people. And I want to actually point out something in the chat, Sean. Nobody's gatekeeping around here. I want to actually, jump in there and say, Many Deaths of Layla Starr is probably one of the best entry points that I can tell for Rombi's writing. If you want to see other superhero type stuff that he's done, I actually highly recommend his run on Catwoman.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Catwoman and Swamp Thing. In
Swamp
particular.
Thing.
Oh
And the
gosh,
Vigil.
Swamp Thing. Oh my
And the
goodness.
Vigil.
Yeah.
Sean,
Yeah, the
I am
visual.
Sean. I am gonna gatekeep here because you watch my channel all the time, and you should have read a Ron V comic by now.
Yeah,
I
man,
talk
we
about it enough, Sean. It's on
we
you.
hold y'all just as
Sean.
responsible as you hold us.
Sean,
So-
I'm gonna gatekeep here because I'm very disappointed that you watch a lot of Greg's channel. But
Touche.
no, I don't know, guys. This whole like the books jarring and moving between the narrative, like it's an opera. This is a climax. It's a crescendo. What happens at a climax in a musical or an opera? We see all of this polyphonic stuff, right, where multiple singers are singing different melodies
Boom, boom,
all
boom,
together,
boom, yeah.
and in their own dissonant way, creating harmony. And this is something Rom has done with every arc of this book. At the very beginning, all the Two-Face stuff, that moment when Two-Face, when it all kind of comes to head, and you have all those inner monologues from Bruce and Two-Face, and it gets jarring and confusing, and there's a moment of catharsis when Two-Face makes his heel turn, when they're going through to stop that damn device, and all of the different Bad Family people are going. We got that same build, and now here we are in another arc where he's doing it even bigger. Not only is it polyphonic in the artwork, but it's also harmonious in the storytelling. One line, Rom ends on a line and Dan picks it up, and it continues this narrative thread. There is something so engrossing and engaging in pattern. The pattern interrupt is part of the beauty. We have the biblical temptation of Christ in the desert that Bruce is going on. We have the question going on her Renee's side mission, but trying to remember her identity and holding tight to this photo, and all these people
Gotham being a character to her.
Yeah, and all of the Dr. Hate stuff, all of this is all building up to this in this theme of identity. And what's so fucking meta about it is that this story is being told in a cohesive way by two different identities, both battling it out on the page. I fucking love that. And I know narratively, maybe, like I said earlier, plot, story, characters, that's all second to me, to the way a book makes me feel. But that's what I feel when I read this, and I fucking love it.
I told y'all, by the way, we would gain 20 live viewers when we started talking about Ultimate Spider-Man.
That was
There we
beautiful,
go.
Manny. It was
There we
beautiful.
go.
Well said.
Yeah, Manny's coming for that best comic
Yeah,
book
dude,
review
Manny's
award.
been
I don't
on
like
one
this.
tonight.
What?
dude.
Yeah.
Without all that being said, it's still jarring.
I'm just up here like Tom King, fucking blah blah blah.
I liked
Manny's
it
all
better
like,
when Manny
yeah.
used to equate things to making mashed potatoes or something like that. Like that was a.
Oh,
I was just
Manny
waiting,
that
this is the
wasn't
Surf Ninja of comics. Like,
threatening. Yeah.
I'll talk about fucking Radiant Black. I know my spot on this panel. We're coming up on rapid fire.
Greg, what's another one you want to highlight?
Just because I want to save it for you, Robbie, I won't talk another book by Rom. But
Don't act like you know me.
sorry, I do know you. Okay, I do. This one, I don't think we talk about it enough on this channel. I don't think it gets talked about enough in the comic community. But I'm gonna bring another Marvel book to the party, gang.
Oh.
And I'm gonna talk about Fantastic Four by Ryan North. I've never pulled a Fantastic Four series in my life. This is the first time I'm pulling Fantastic Four, and I have been enjoying this thoroughly. For me, what's been very nice about this as someone who's trying to get into Fantastic Four. Again, I've never read Fantastic Four comics before. That you can pick this up and you can almost give it to anybody. It's very much written into one comic or two comic arcs, and it's very tangible. You know, the first one set it up. The first arc was very much of they're all, you know, trying to get away from New York. This one just was a lot of fun. You know, it was a short time travel kind of situation with Ramata. And again, Alex Ross covers on these are worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
Through and through. I just think Ryan North is a very smart storyteller. And I have not gotten to read a lot of Ryan North's stuff, but I've been really engaged with the family aspect of Fantastic Four, which I think that you have in this of, you know, the relationship between Reed and Sue as they're trying to figure out how do they one up a time traveler in this one. It's not operatic and poetic, like, you know, like we were just talking about, but for me, it's good comic book fun for me. And I've really enjoyed it.
So I'm a lifelong Fantastic Four fan, probably the biggest Fantastic Four fan y'all know. Huge fan. So first of all, I'm elated that you're reading Fantastic Four and enjoying it, Greg. That's fucking awesome. For me though, this one's I mean, it's like I think it's all right. I think it's decent. I like.
Are you talking about the issue or the series?
The series.
Okay.
I think the issue is weak personally, but I don't want to like shit on your pick.
Well,
right?
I think this is more of a, because there's so many good books. I feel like this series just doesn't get talked about enough. There's been other books I've loved more than this.
This book would be better if it had better coloring for first and foremost, and better art. Like
Art, yeah.
the main artist on this, he doesn't like to draw Ben's neck. Which really
Coelho?
bothers me. Like,
Yeah,
if you look
dude,
at
it
the
looks
issue
like
before this or something, it's just it looks like a
It's like
bobblehead or something.
It's a
right?
circle on the head, man. A
Dude.
circle on the body. It's crazy.
When they're digging up the bones, I think half the faces are missing. Like, it's just like eyeballs.
bad.
Yeah. So I think the arts and the coloring makes it very plasticky. It's like the worst of that like late 80s or late 90s like liquid coloring stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that way too extreme. I think he understands the characters. I wish they'd get rid of that mustache on Johnny. We're talking about nitpicking from a lifelong Fantastic Four fan right now, right? Yeah, give Ben a neck, and I would probably respond a little bit better. I'm just glad I have the book. I think it's solid, though. I think it's solid. It has some issues that work for me. This one didn't. Like I've read actually a bunch of Fantastic Four issues where it's the same type thing. They discover something in some archaeological dig. It relates to a time travel adventure. They have to go back. I've just seen it done a little bit better, right? But I still thought it was a good, solid book. But honestly, this month, my favorite Fantastic Four book was the Fabian Nicieza Giant Size that came out this week, where they introduced a new character, which is like he's like a proto Namor. So like Namor is a hybrid between an Atlantean and a human. This dude's a hybrid between an Atlantean and a Lemurian. Right.
Ooh.
And it was such a cool, just it right in the vibe with the Ryan North stuff where it's a self-contained story. Now, Ryan, though, does understand those characters, the family aspect. I would really encourage you, Greg, to read the Mark Waid and Mike Wieringo run.
Okay.
100%. I think you would like that a lot. I mean, I can give you the whole thing. Just go Kirby, Byrne, Wade, Hickman, and you're good. Like, that's really all you need. And then I can give you some more of the slider stuff. Any other thoughts out there about Fantastic Four?
I've loved certain issues of it. I did fall behind on it, but like that diner issue when Reed and Sue were in the diner and they found that whole town full of Doombots that he had created for that one old lady. Basically.
yeah.
That was a great issue. I loved Dino Doom. I loved like when Doom's first appearance when the Fantastic Four slowly lost the ability to say all the letters except for D, O, and M. That was pretty cool. I think, like you guys said, he really gets the characters through and through. But the art is rough for me. It could be way better. Robbie, I think you nailed it. It does feel like that late 90s type of vibe. But yeah, it's not going to be up there like with my all-time runs for FF, but it's definitely been fun. And it's good to. I think Ryan North, I agree with Greg said. I think he's super smart. And, I'm curious to see what else he does in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good spotlight for his talents more so than Squirrel Girl. And I'm not talking shit about Squirrel Girl, but that's not a book that you're going to get a lot of eyes on I mean, unless you're like, I don't know. Somebody, I'm sure if Daniel Warren Johnson did Squirrel Girl, I would fucking buy it. I'd probably be the pick of the week, to be honest with you. But the Ryan North, I do think he gets all the characters, Stu, but I don't think he gets Victor. I don't think he. Don't get me started on Tom DeFalco's run, Raphael. We can go all night about that. I love Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan's run on Fantastic Four, but you got to have Kirby first and John Byrne before you can really appreciate that. Also,
Absolutely.
Walt Simonson's run. I just don't know if Ryan gets Dr. Doom. That's the only thing. I don't think he quite gets Victor, but I think he's too nice of a guy. Ryan is maybe to really fully get Victor.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Anybody else any thoughts?
They're really going to have to start beefing up Victor if he's going to end up taking over for Kang in the MCU. Because they've kind of been pushing him. Like, remember when Clea like bitch slapped him in Doctor Strange and recently and
the Strange,
and the Doctor
Strange Sorcerer Supreme. When he was dead still. Yeah.
That's bullshit, by the way. That was
that was rough.
Yeah,
in the really foyer of the house too. It's like
that better be a Doombot Mach fucking 8 or something. You know what I'm saying? Like one made in 1987. I don't
talk to him, bro.
That said, the clobbering time issues with Dr. Doom are really fun.
Fantastic.
Oh yes, they are. Yeah,
I'm excited for that Hickman one shot that he's got coming with Sanford Green.
That's the man who knows how to write some Victor Von Doom. Let me tell you that, dude.
Amen.
One of my favorite Victor Von Doom moments is from a Jonathan Hickman FF issue when he fights off that Celestial towards the end of the run. He goes, "I may be a vain." He's like, I may be a vain, greedy, cruel man, but I will never surrender to you, motherfucker. It's so good, dude. It's so great.
It does, dude.
I love Victor because he always like will tell you who he is.
Yeah, he's not afraid to do that.
You know, he's not. All right, for my final pick, I know everybody wants me to either do the Rom V book or do the two-way tie. You know, that would be clever. I could do the two-way tie between two books from Rom and Dan. That would be nice. But you know what we haven't talked about yet?
I don't think it's a tie.
We haven't talked about Transformers number 5, everybody. Let me tell you something. Transformers has taken over my life in a big way. Now, when I was growing up as a kid, I loved Transformers. I didn't really have a lot of the toys. I had the little small toys. I had more GoBots. It was just the way the budget was for me back in 1985, 1986, right? But I loved Transformers and then that movie, right? And I started collecting the newer toys. Hasbro does some really solid Transformer toys. I don't feel like I have to collect the whole line, get every single thing like Fable. You know, and Fable's got a whole house. Like, how do you move in there, bro? It's got to be covered in Transformer figures and variant covers, right? But Daniel Warren Johnson on Transformers has changed my life. I've sold so many of my Power Ranger toys. I'm down to like just the Mighty Morphin stuff. Bro, I'm selling all that stuff to buy more Transformers. Let me tell you something. I'm so into this property, this franchise. Every morning when I wake up, my Alexa device plays Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. I think that's a good song to wake up to. It used to be Happy by Pharrell before that for a long time. It's great songs to wake up to. They get you in the mood. Right now, it's the Transformers theme by Lion. So I wake up and it's like, Transformers! Dude, I wake up, I'm ready. Give me my green juice, give me my shower, give me my walk, let me go, let me do my life. Let me crush this day like Optimus Prime crushes Megatron. Transformers is a cool property. Daniel Warren Johnson has turned me into a super uber fan. The entire Energon universe is amazing. Daniel Warren Johnson is able to give us something that feels familiar, that's very different. It's exciting to old fans. It's exciting to new fans. The art is dynamic, kinetic, buoyant, even, dare I say, and action-packed and paced in such a way that we're not overloaded with all of this information, all of these Transformers. He's slowly bringing us into this world, slowly bringing these characters back, doing something different. And outside of all of it, the only piece of Transformers fiction of all time that's ever got me caring about Spike. I don't care about the humans in a it's like a Godzilla movie, man. Like, it'd be better without the humans. Not Daniel Warren Johnson's Transformers. Not at all. This book is so freaking good. And then, slight spoilers, Devastator. I was not expecting Devastator by Daniel Warren Johnson at the end of issue 5. Bruh, the Transformers are fucked, man. I love this book. It's so exciting. It makes me feel like I'm 11, 12 years old reading Jim Lee's recently relaunched X-Men book. It's got those vibes to me, man. I love it. Transformers, anybody?
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
what can be said except for it's Transformers, man? Like,
I still love issue 5 was mostly just incredible action, and like the ending, of course, was amazing with Devastator. But I love that part in the beginning where he's Optimus is talking to Homeboy about like how long was your war, and he was like, "Oh, I was only out for one tour," and then we got that beautiful shot like within the kind of cathedral set, and he's like, "It was enough." Like we still get those raw human moments, even with this like all this incredible. But yeah, like my favorite part of the action was when the Constructicons show up, and it's just like that big yellow paint, and he just paints heavy metal like with the truck. Like,
so cool.
his action is just so incredible, man. I just love his. It's so dynamic. Like you said all the right words already, Robbie. Yeah, I love this one.
The RC scene when she
Um,
pops in and drives up to save Carly. Oh,
Bro, I bought an RC figure because of that scene.
that was amazing. Just the angles of that and everything, and just how it worked. Oh, it was so beautiful.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely gorgeous.
Fire Guy Ryan, you can often find Transformers and G.I. Joe running on YouTube. There, I believe, at least at one time, I don't know if it's still there, but G.I. Joe has somebody's doing
There's
like
a
a
live stream.
24-hour stream
Yeah.
of G.I. Joe. Also, I believe Tubi has a lot of that stuff. I've recently watched.
You're assuming a
some
lot
of-
about Ryan that he actually does the subscription channels or
No,
downloads
but
any apps.
Tubi's
Tubi
free.
is not. a
I know, but I'm saying
subscription.
that he
Yeah.
actually does apps on his phone.
Yeah, Transformers official YouTube channel has got most of that stuff just available for you.
Nice.
And I think sometimes you can find it on Pluto, which is another free app.
Hell yeah. Any other thoughts on Transformers aside from they're killing it? Come on, y'all.
No, it's fantastic. And I think what you said earlier, Robbie, is a testament to it, because I just missed the Transformers hype as a kid. Like, I just was past it when it was there, so I know very little. So these moments that you all are talking about, like Devastator showing up and RC, like, I'm still learning these characters' names.
Mhm.
And so, like, for me, like,
RC.
I'm still invested in this, and this is one of the first books I pick up every week, and I know very little about Transformers, and the same can be said about G.I. Joe with Duke and stuff like that. So they're killing it on this. So
Yes. Okay. I am gonna actually read Crash Down. Fire Guy Ryan giving some love to Beast Wars. Hell yeah. Oh my goodness.
Crash Down #2 was good. I did my review for it this week. I liked it. I actually think it was an improvement
It was.
on issue #1, which I liked as well.
I watched your review this week, Robbie, and you
thank
called it Lost in Space, and I was like, that's sweet, because I like the Netflix and the one with Matt LeBlanc, and I like the old one
Lost,
with the robot.
in space.
Oh, like like the TV show on the island.
Yeah.
Oh,
But in space.
you know what? I'll still read it. Right? I'll still read it.
Hell yeah. All right.
we talking Matt LeBlanc, Lost in Space?
No.
Oh,
Jeez.
dude.
Nice. Oh,
Now
man.
I gotta go find. Now I gotta go find my Smith spider.
Hell
Why do
yeah.
you have that?
Lost.
Why do you not have that?
That's a good question.
I said that in my review just for you, Ryan, by the way, since you like that. So yeah, a pregnant damn pause. It's like Lost in space. Yeah, I like Lost personally. So anyway, rapid fire.
Boom.
The rest of the best. The rest of the best. Yeah. Whatever.
Best of the
Rapid fire, Stu. What you got?
All right, I got. Real quick. I'm gonna go. I think this guy was at that last week of January. Batman Off-World #3. Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
I love this book.
Yep.
It's just art's great story. You know, Bat's trying to learn how to beat down everything in the universe. Just nice physical, brutal Batman book. On that note, I'm going to keep it DC. Double down again. Batman 144. Dude, this story's been cool, but the Andrea Sorrentino artwork and that storyline has been so fantastic. Just some drop dead panels and artwork by Sorrentino in there. And yeah, I just read this one this afternoon. It wasn't my favorite issue, but these ones always make you laugh and think. Ice Cream Man 38. I'll throw that one in there. Not the best
We had
issue of ICM, but I loved it all the same.
We had a new Ice Cream Man. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came
Yeah.
out this week.
This past
I
week.
fucking loved it. The World of Greg.
Yeah.
Anybody who's ever had a job they hate will really fucking be depressed by that issue. Trust me. Or who's been in prison, or who lives in a society run by a government.
I would have been so ticked off if any of you guys
anyone.
actually picked Ice Cream Man as your book of the week. I was this close to picking it up just because I knew I was going to be on the show.
Damn.
And if none of you guys talked about it, I was going to be. But I didn't pick it up, so now I'm even happier that you didn't. So
It's a good one, man.
Hmm.
Good,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
rapid
it's
fires,
solid.
dude. That's some good books, man.
All
You know,
right.
it's a good month in comics when Ice Cream Man's just the last part of your rapid fire. You know, that's
yeah,
a good
absolutely.
month in comics.
Good
Yeah.
point. Oh, yeah,
I,
it's gonna
I think
save
we
a
still
lot.
have Swan Song hangovers, to be honest with you. I
Yeah,
think
we
we'll-
do. We
it'll-
do.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick? Rapid fire. Let's get.
There's 4 books that I'll save that one. There's 3 books that were just outstanding that we haven't talked about yet. Ultimate Black Panther, which is was an amazing book. We've seen it. I saw like people talking about it all this whole time in the chat.
So good.
Really amazing like moments inside of this book. I like the new take on it. Like everything we said about Spider-Man, just pass it forward over in Black Panther. And yeah, it's got some pretty cool like relationships in this book and really cool aha moments inside of that. Blood Commandment. Man, we had the final issue number 4. There is something epic hit FOC that's coming back. So if you've been missing your something epic from Kodransky, you can pick that up in the continuation. New story arc issue number 8 is coming out soon, and he's actually doing some of the art in Sam and
Twitch.
Sam and Twitch,
And another Spawn book that just got announced too.
Yeah.
And also check out everybody. Go pre-order your Blood Commandment trade paperbacks because there's going to be some quotes on the back from your favorite YouTubers.
there
And I
sure
think that's
is.
plural. So
Let's go.
Yep, there sure is. And then we
weird. I
have
haven't read that. I don't know why they got me on the back there, but
the next one. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 3. Again, it just talks about how great this month has been when this kind of stuff hits the freaking rapid fire area. I don't really need to talk about this besides that it's amazing and everybody loves this book that's been reading it so far. And then one book just for like it was just fun for me and I didn't have any expectation and I loved it was Wolverine Madripoor Nights issue number 1. Came out a long time ago. I just had a great time reading it, man. It was like action packed. I loved the characters in it. It was really cool. And I had anyway, a cool little like redo of like a little homage to this cover here as well. And I think we had the reprint this past week of that. What was it, like 243 or something like that? I can't remember. What are we doing here? There you go. Yeah. So yeah, that was just like a surprise.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear what book you had said, so I was trying to get a look. Yeah, 268's the
268
Yeah.
of the facsimile, right?
I was really surprised that book was good, Nick. To be honest,
I liked it. I just
Yeah,
like
me
the
too.
voice. Yeah, yeah. I
was
was really surprised
amazing.
too. So yeah, there's tons more, but I'll save that's my rapid fire for now.
All right. What about you, Carrie? Rapid fire.
Whew, okay. Let's just do them both together. Duke, Cobra Commander. Obviously, let's finish at that universe here this week. Larry Hama's G.I. Joe.
That was good. Yeah.
So great. I jumped in 301, which was the first image. Larry Hama has this way of starting that 301 that gets you up to date. And, none of the problems with, the fake number ones that are, come out here and there and you're just like, what the hell is happening? None of those problems. Continue to love Unnatural Order every month, ever since I got it free. Let's go ahead and do it. These two together. The idea of taking two different sides of the story and showing where both of them exactly come from, that was just amazing. I'm going to say one more that I don't think, no, I'll say two more that I don't think anyone else is going to say. And I'm going to say Sean Gordon Murphy's Zorro, Man of the Dead.
Zorro.
Apparently Greg was going to say it and I just took it from him.
it's all
But
right. It's all good.
Zorro, Man of the Dead. I absolutely love this concept of this kid Diego growing up and believing and understanding that Rosa is his sister, but also thinking he's Zorro. And I love Zorro, and I love that book. And then I'm going to talk about, I can't even show this book. I can't show this book because Robbie,
Did you get the not safe for work Penthouse Comics cover? Is that what you did?
No, not Penthouse.
Okay, I'll show it for you, and then you can just.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I got for some reason I got the naughty
For
For
cover.
some reason, it
For
was
some
in
reason,
my box.
it
It was
just
in my
happened.
pool. Yeah.
It was the only one they had left on the shelf. Sorry.
It was in a bag. I didn't know what it looked like.
But it was, I love the way that we were talking earlier about the differences in the art and everything like that, and switching over involving detective and how it can be jarring for some people. But this is one of those moments where you switch back and forth between the art style, and it works with the narrative, it works with the plot, and that's really cool. But I'll leave.
Yeah.
I've got others sitting here, but I'll leave them.
I see Damien in the chat. Damien on one of his recent videos. By the way, I've been watching them and they rock. I need to leave more comments, but I watch them on my Robbie Billups account, and then like I feel weird like if I leave a comment as myself, like it's like that's not brand centric. Anyway, Damien, distillery. I agree with you on Gone, but Somna is where I think you might want to read that and see what you think. That's what I think. What about you, Manny?
So
Rapid
good.
fire.
All right.
Better than it has any business being.
Amazing Spider-Man 44, because I read this book and it makes me appreciate Ultimate Spider-Man 2 so much more. So that one right there. Chip motherfucking Zdarsky on Joker year 1. I loved it. The only criticism I have is that I had to reread parts of Batman the Knight. And I didn't even want to read that when I had to read it to cover it. And now I got to read it again to get the context for Dr. Captio. But beyond that, I like what's happening with the Joker here. I love that the way that when you do read those two books, not that you should go read the Knight, but if you did read the Knight, I love the way that those training montages like line up perfectly. Everything Bruce gets put through, Joker gets put through, and they're just fucking beautiful parallels. This was really good, you guys. You heard it here. You should buy a Batman book. I know nobody's doing that right now, but definitely pick up the Batman books.
A Joker-centric Batman book.
Yeah, exactly. Robbie hasn't gone yet. Robbie's probably going to hit these ones. So I'm going to go and stay on brand. God damn it. All right, so Radiant Black, 28 and 28.5. Now, here's the deal. It's
you can
fine.
set your watch to them.
It's fine. This story is actually not bad. I feel betrayed by Radiant Black because they had me vote for which guy was going to become the Radiant, and they just did it both anyway. And they're trying to be clever and say, well, it's the Catalyst War, which wraps up in this issue. So, of course, the choosing of the Radiant is the catalyst. Both of these outcomes can be avoided if they instead choose the correct Radiant. That's what's going to happen. There'll be some fucking QR code I have to scan and some whole production with Will Ferrell, not Will Ferrell, the guy from Batman Beyond, that Ferrell guy. He's going to come out and do a little cartoon skit and it's going to be fine. But this didn't need to be 2 issues for $3.99. You could have charged me $6.99 and did back to back and just let me read it one way, then flip it and read it the other way and get the same thing. But the character development between Marshall and Nathan has been well done in the Catalyst War. I'm salty about a gimmick, and I'm a comic book fan. I should understand gimmicks. This shit's on me. But yeah, so I couldn't pick up Savage Sword of Conan because I had to fucking buy 2 issues of Radiant Black, but they were decent. Pick 'em
As
up.
a retailer, right? And I dipped out of Radiant Black very early, but as a retailer, could you at least not do these every other week, not on the same goddamn day, so that I got confused customers every month that I got to train my employees to be like, make sure they know there's 2 issues in their box. It's not 2 of the same. The covers are slightly different. Like, yeah. I mean, come on. You trying to help retailers out, Kyle? Because that's not how you do it.
Think of how
That's not
cool
how you do it.
Think of how cool it would have been. They still could have charged me $7.99, put a cardstock cover on the son of a bitch, but you could have just had it half the story on one side, flip it half the story.
I
but
think the
whatever.
lesson of the night is skip Radiant Black and get into Savage Sword of Conan, brother.
Or you could read Power Rangers. 117. No bullshit. I have shit on this ever since Melissa Flores took over. I haven't shit on Melissa Flores. I think she's doing a fine job of telling us shit we already know, right? But this one did give us some really good character development with Rita, and I like that the last issue gave us some really good character development with Ranger Slayer. We are building up these two characters who have, for better or worse, Kimberly and Ranger Slayer are tied so close to Draken, and Rita is tied so closely to Zed and Vile, and it is so refreshing to see these characters step out of the shadows of these abusive male counterparts and really, really rise to the occasion. So I am very, very happy with where she eventually got this story to, even if we had to sit through season 2 of fucking Power Rangers a third time to get there. I really do like that. And Master Vile, especially in Zordon's body, is a very menacing villain on a scale we have not seen before in the series, whether it be on television or in the pages of a comic book. So this was a good month. We have bad ones, but we get through it together.
I did enjoy the return.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, that's the first Power Ranger book I read in a long, long time, and I picked up the Return. I read it, and I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I like that one too. Greg, what's the rest of your rapid fire there then?
One that I talk about every month. Robbie's like, I didn't read it. I'm going to. You guys need to make me. Traveling to Mars, issue number 10. Another emotional gut punch.
Yes. Great pick, dude.
It's so good. Birds of Prey, issue number 6. I love Kelly Thompson and how she wrapped up that arc and setting it up. I'm all about the, doing arcs with different teams here moving forward to tell different stories of Birds of Prey. Again, I haven't read a lot of Birds of Prey, but that's something that I think is that they used to do, and I'm fine with that. I'm good with that. We mentioned it highly, but it needs to happen again. Wesley Dodd's Saiyan Man by Robert Venditti. Riley Rossmo is fantastic. Again, a character I know nothing about, but it's one that I look forward to every week or every month. I don't like Damian as Robin, but I've been loving Batman and Robin. The father-son dynamic that Joshua Williamson is bringing with Bruce and Damian in this has been really good. And for me, who doesn't like Damian as a character, I think for me to be enjoying this book and look forward to it is great. And I will just say, kudos to Mark Waid on Shazam. I've been enjoying the series, but there's a scene that I'm just going to show that it is, as a parent, it won the best panel for me of a scene, was where Shazam literally just drops off Darla to just why to the dinosaurs to win an argument. And that's how they win an argument with these freaking extraterrestrials. And I'm like, as a dad, I'm just like, gosh, Mark, you nailed it right there. I'm like, that just sealed the deal as one of my favorite pages of the book, because I'm like, oh, I felt that in my soul. But
yeah,
Shazam's been really, really good, man. Mark Waid's on, I think Joe Casey referred to it as his 6th wind now, right?
Yeah.
So many times that dude has felt like he's been out of the game for a while, then he comes right back in and just always one of the best in the biz. All right, for my rapid fire, Infernals number 1. Wow, what a really cool, gnarly issue. Really took me by surprise. Excited to see what happens there. World Tree number 8. After 2 really lackluster issues of World Tree, where I felt like I was going to leave the book, which was one of my favorites of last year, brought me right back into that plot, right back into that characters. This should have been issue 6, in my opinion, but it was awesome. Holy Roller number 4 has been... I was like, okay, Andy Sandberg's doing a comic book with Rick Remender. I'll read a couple issues. We'll see. I have enjoyed every single one. And this is one of those obvious things where it's like we're trying to R&D something to be picked up as a television show or a movie. Somebody do it. Please get Andy Sandberg in this role. It's perfect for him. I detested Animal Pound number 1. I really liked Animal Pound number 2. So there you go. That's all I'm going to say about that. Tenement number 9 was one of the best issues of the entire Bone Orchard mythos. or Boneyard Orchard, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing. Like I
Yeah.
loved that. Another revelatory issue. Great artwork by Andrea Sorrentino. World's Minus 24. What an end to that prequel to Kingdom Come. Once again, Mark Waid, Dan Mora just killing it. They are
Love that book so
amazing
much.
right now. Faceless in the Family had a very satisfying conclusion with issue number 4. If you like different type stuff, check that trade out when it comes out. If you missed it, we got to throw a little bit of shilling to my boy Joe Casey, my homie, my good man. Joe Casey got Dutch number 1 out this month, as well as Kneel Before Zod number 2. Check those out. Also, check out the conversation we had last week. It was a great conversation. I've been a fan of his work for over 20 years, so it was a long time coming, and I'm really excited because he's got a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. Outsiders number 4, giving us the reincarnation of Jenny Sparks and Jenny Quantum with Jenny Crisis. Loving what they're doing over there. Deviant number 4 continues to slap. Bloodrick number 3. Why is it the end? Let's keep going. Andrew Cronky, however you say his name. Y'all need to check out this dude's work. It's really, really good. And my final one is Thundercats number 1 because Rob Liefeld cover. That's the one I got. That's right. All right. Thank you all for joining us so much. Let us know in the comments what you think. What are your favorite books of the month? Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Stu, what you got coming up?
This past Tuesday night over on the Dr. Doom's Fan Club YouTube channel, my buddy Link and I went over the career of the late great Tim Sale. Pretty much everything he did from the early stuff with Myth Adventures all the way through Batman, Superman, Marvel color books. So yeah, y'all check us out every Tuesday, 9:00, going over comic books, old and new.
Hell yeah, Nick. Thank you for being here. What's coming up?
Tomorrow night, over on One Collection Down, we have Blame Fable and his amazing friends. We have Gary B on tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to check us over there on One Collection Down. Then, of course, weekly comic book review show, Nick at Night, Saturday nights. And then FOCs and new release stuff and haul videos all throughout the week and key comic flip throughs. So you can check me out at Comic Culture on YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah. Links, by the way, to everybody's channel in the description below. So do check that out. Carrie, thank you for being here. What's coming up?
Thank you. I've been doing a little bit of something different. I've actually started doing content that involves my writing vlog that I've been doing, where I kind of sit and talk about how the writing process is going for me. I have a novel in progress that I am just about to 50,000 words for the rough draft. So that's kind of my baby right now. Like I'm looking to see that through. I've been doing some music reviews. I've done a couple music reviews recently, and some book reviews and that kind of thing on top of anything else that I do.
Oh yeah, everybody go check her out. Manny, thank you so much for being here. What's coming up, my man?
Thank you for having me. I wish that my last video would have been a comic one, because that would have been more appropriate. But my last video was ranking every Ninja Turtles film. So you can check that out on the channel. You guys have heard me talk comics for 2.5 hours. And I offer my sincerest apologies for that.
Sure.
But I do drop content almost every day, where you can see me do voiceover reviews, what me and my wife refer to as my low effort videos. You can find those almost every day on Nerdtastic News. But if you're a person of good taste, and I know you are, you're not going to do that. You're going to go and check out my man, #BlameFable, and you're going to go and see the conversation upcoming with Gary B, the casual comic guy. You're going to want to go and check out that conversation. Those are 2 amazing pillars of community building here on YouTube, on Instagram, just about anywhere you want to look. You're going to find Fable, and he's going to make you spend money, and you're going to find Gary B, and he's going to show you some Conan shit, and you're going to be like, that's really cool, Gary. But that conversation's happening tomorrow, so make sure you go and check that out.
Heck yeah. I just want to shout out Dynamite in the chat. Savage Dragon was crazy as hell this month. I haven't read Savage Dragon in years and years and years. In fact, I never read it. I only read the first 3 issues like just last year for like an Image in the 90s, right? So I've just been picking them up recently, and kudos to Eric Larson for being the first person, at least that I've seen in comics, to go full on Steamboat Mickey. Like Steamboat Mickey is in the comic interacting with Savage Dragon and trying to get in some swinging action with him and his partner. So some wild stuff going on in the pages of Savage Dragon, y'all. I think we've been missing out on one of the most daring comics. Like I opened up a page, and the first page I saw was a woman just.
Is there a nice way to describe this?
No. I saw things in a couple recent issues I can't say shit on.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just say she was pleased, and you could see that she was pleased.
She was a happy woman.
Speaking of pleasing the ladies, Greg, thank you so much for being here. What you got coming up?
Find me on Beer Comic Bro on everywhere social. Like Robbie said earlier in the show, had Tony Fleece on. Week before that, Mark Russell was on. And this Monday, we'll be dropping the interview I had with Derek Robertson, co-creator of The Boys and Transmetropolitan and Happy and all of that jazz. So it was a really, really fun conversation. It's taken me a little bit longer to get this one done just because there was some Wi-Fi issues. And so I'm sadly having to edit more out than I want to because that's the way technology is sometimes. But so it's basically part 1 of a chat of ours, and we're going to have him back on when he's got some big stuff coming up this year, and we'll talk about that again. But that was a real fun conversation. So
nice. As far as us, you can catch me right now. I'm over at Blood Splatter Chatter premiering with our Dario Argento's Jennifer Masters of Horror episode. That's live right now. How? I don't know. It's the magic of YouTube, but definitely go check it out. Start it from the beginning. Watch the whole thing. It was a great conversation I had, but here we are on the eve now of March Madness, y'all. March Madness starts and kicks off on Dylan's Horror Show. Find me over at Dylan's Horror Show Saturday night as we talk about The Shining. Then I'll be doing Rockin Robbie Live, hopefully on Sunday night. But on Monday night, we continue March Madness here on PCP Movie Night with The Invisible Man, the original 1933 classic, directed by James Whale. Absolutely amazing. Next Thursday, Blood Splatter Chatter joins in on March Madness with a look at Possession, a much underappreciated but highly regarded movie from 1981, I believe, starring Sam Neill. And then Manny's going to be dipping in to March Madness, giving us the appendices, is what I'm saying. Some great conversations, some great thought-provoking video essays, I'm sure, from our man Manny. He's going to be talking about the duality of good and evil on film, silent to modern to elevated. James Tynion.
Hell yeah, man.
James Tynion's title, brother.
Right,
that's what I'm saying.
That's some fancy stuff.
I laughed so hard at my stupid joke when I put elevated because I know how much Robbie loves that phrase.
Yep.
Tiff's like, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "I put elevated on this thumbnail." she questions her life choices in those moments, you know.
Yeah.
But here's what it is.
Hot take. The first horror film was an elevated horror film because it was the first. All right, we're moving on. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We'll be back here on the last Thursday of March to talk about our favorite comic books of March. I know for a fact we got Chris from Lost in Comics on that on that show, so that's going to be dope. It's going to be fun. We'll catch you then. In the meantime,